From the ones and twos over there. We got the Bash Brothers. I enjoyed caught a little bit of the conversation towards the end. And you know what? That's the fun thing about the markets. Everyone can have differing opinions. There's a lot of bears out there that are celebrating today that have been awfully quiet. You know, obviously, recently. We got a lot of earnings to get to later on in the week. But today, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. It is a DeepSeek kind of day, and the market's all just trying to take it all in. Unless your name is Apple, or to a lesser extent, Amazon or Meta, and you're big cap tech, you're bleeding today. There's no question about it. So it's been one of those, and you've got to be like laser focused on a day like today. Like the morning, like the opening was incredible amounts of liquidity. I'd expect, despite the fact the market's not moving, the Nasdaq's not moving as much as it was this morning, probably going to be a little bit of volatility coming into this afternoon.
Hello, everybody. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and let's get ready to rock and roll. We are very, very happy with today's trading. This is going to be my biggest day of the month. And looky here, Neil. This is what I'm trying to do. We go long Nvidia. We go long. We make it. It's the #1 P&L. It's the most money made on any individual name here for me all month on these two trades. Then, once it broke 123, we stopped the love affair with this name, and we went into the short. So there is something for everybody. Whether or not you were long off the jump, and this was an absolute monster, that first trade, long 124, 123, all the way up to 128. But then when it lost it, and we saw some volume coming through, then we just went short. Unfortunately, we're here pushing some laps when this is happening. We came back, we got out at 119, a little bit at 120. Now we say, looky, we're right back at the lows again for Nvidia. I did buy some over lunchtime in my own account. So we're long, not here, we're probably long more around here, 119-ish now for Nvidia. I feel like it's too far sold. This is a $3 trillion name. It's given back 500, something like that, $1 billion, which is like, there's only a handful of companies which market cap is greater than that in the first place. So man, oh man, it's been a good one. Oh, and by the way, we get into our first trade of the day on IBIT, and it's right at our posted level, Neil. And who would have thought that these levels were readily available for free? IBIT right there, $56. So there's the long on IBIT. And now all of a sudden that becomes one of the top names here too. So yeah, following our plan. Me and you shot some videos. It's all about following a plan. It's all about being consistent. It's all about trusting who you are and your processes. And it's been a really good one. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I mean, we're here to have a lot of fun every single day. I had to take my necklace off because we were filming something. Let's put it back on right now. It's like putting that cape back on, you know, like that Patrick Mahomes, you know, Superman.
Don't start with Patrick Mahomes. He ain't Superman,
no.
although
I think he's
full credit. No, he's at this point, like he's on the GOAT path at this rate.
For sure.
But it is what it is, man. And at the end of the day, the cool thing about the market today is there were like multiple inflection points. Like as Sean was sort of saying there with Nvidia, like the moment that switch flipped, it flipped in a heartbeat. And I can tell you, like, AMD was it wasn't even that bad on AMD for a hot minute. And then this sucker lost VWAP, and now it's down 7%. Like, this was, like, you start thinking about the number of names that are double digits to the downside, and this one actually losing the bid more and more. And the problem here for this, in particular, why I'm sort of bringing it up, you are at the bottom right now for AMD. Like this is 52-week lows that are being pressed right now at the 114 level. When we left you, I didn't think it was necessarily getting down there. Played it from VWAP into the low of the day. And that was the last thing we left you guys with. But the other side of the coin is it's not all doom and gloom. Apple is literally at its high of the day. Close to the high of the day, of course, at 232. This is the one we like to the long side. It really came down to this. If the story is that AI names are getting punished, well, who wasn't spending big on the CapEx and Nvidia chips? and who wasn't necessarily monetizing from AI. So what is kind of bad in the space turned into good, and that was probably the reason why Apple is holding up as well as it is, as far as I'm concerned. And then the other one, I mean, Meta has pulled back a little bit, but this was also a pretty big rocket ship. It's green on the day, but that sort of doesn't do it the justice. This actually broke its all-time high earlier on in the session before pulling back in here. Right now, I got the eyeballs on SoFi, which they reported, and it kind of got swept under the rug. SoFi down significantly because of their report. And I'm looking at this one to short the bottom end of the range here. Down 12%. It actually wasn't that bad of a report for SoFi. Maybe catching some strays, A, and then B, it doesn't necessarily matter what you think of an earnings report. Sometimes it just comes down to what the price action is, and ball doesn't lie. Like, it's not for any of us to say overbought, oversold, whatever, when you're just day trading. I mean, ultimately, you can think that Nvidia is oversold and still buy it in your long-term account and go short the other way. Like, I bought the Qs today. It is what it is. Like, I look at days like today as, well, if I'm dollar cost averaging the Qs once a quarter, today seems like a pretty good day to buy. I don't know, that would just be my 2 cents. And I feel like most of the time, if you buy on days like today for the long term to hold, they tend to work out pretty well. Individual stocks, maybe not as much. Like I'd say it's the same note, by the way, like ARM, this one isn't doing very well. I bought this one in my long-term account, and unlike the Qs, it's still bleeding 12% down for ARM, and still hasn't caught a bid. Yikes. Lots of pain.
All right, yeah, the only thing I bought today was Nvidia. I may step in and buy some Bitcoin, but I mean, my last purchase was 94. I think we got to wait to get into there. Some other names. I guess, there's always something to look at in this market. I mean, that's for sure when you go from day to day, something that would be a little exciting. I mean, I've set up my own little watch list. Well, if we're ready for Sharif, my bad. Okay. I was going to say, I have a little list here. Broadcom was a name that's always been suggested to us here live on the show. And I just want to say that's also down, AVGO. And by the way, this scanner brought to you by eSignal. Broadcom right now down 20%, Sharif. So this is another one. Look, we're $5 in the money on Nvidia. I hope that's going to be question number one. But at the end of the day, lots of names bleeding. Coinbase down 10% as well. So, all right, guys, back over to the screen with the hardest working man himself. It is Sharif.
All right, welcome everyone to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The boys, locked and loaded, ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. Join Joe and I during the How to Trade show during the midday and get into the chat. That's how you can vote for your favorite tickers. You got to be a subscriber though. Only subs can participate in the chat. This is a look at the gap down on the triple Qs, guys. That is where we close out on Friday. That's where we open up this morning. We are getting into the lows, and the NASDAQ absolutely getting creamed today. The worst performing major average, followed by the ES, and then the Russell, the Dow, believe it or not, positive on the day. Let's look at the first ticker, though, as decided by you. Yes, DeepSeek sparks AI carnage as a Magnificent Seven loses quite a bit. And to build on your point, Sean, Broadcom has lost more than $900 billion. Oh, no, that's obviously not Broadcom alone. That's the Mag 7 in general, losing $900 billion in value. Nvidia coming into the low of the day. Sean's still holding it right now, down 17.5%.
Hey, Broadcom is $900 billion.
Look, we made it, and I just told you, Nvidia's lost now, with today's loss, more, I think there's only maybe 10 companies worth more, period, than Nvidia has lost today. All right, so we kept it real simple. And again, this is going to be the number one P&L name for the show for the month. This trade right here, Nvidia. So there it goes. Good trade. We were long early. It did not get to any of these levels. Okay, it didn't get to 128. It did get to that 125 area where it bounced off. So let's just break it down real quick, and then we'll talk about being short. So here, I mean, it came into the pre-market. We were talking about defending VWAP and defending this 125. It does flush. At that point, I mean, you guys were right here. We looked at that 123. We actually zoomed it out into a longer, I have Amazon up here. We zoomed it out into longer time frames, and we said that that would be something that was, we had Chef Joe on, and he said that was one of the things that really had helped him out as well, was not panicking as much. So when you look at Nvidia, I mean, this drop was pretty good, right? There's that area that we were thinking about shorting if it ever got through it, but we didn't get up to that 134. That little wick is just not that. So look, if we were going to take 128, I really liked it breaking long. But instead, it started such a low spot in there around 124. Then it got going back up into that 128. And since then, it came right into that level that should have been pretty easy for many people to look for a short. You just had to have, that thought about it. And then it popped and dropped. So if you're looking at where Nvidia is going to go from here, I mean, just on the daily chart here, and this daily chart brought to you by eSignal, there it is breaking through the 200 period of 121. So this is some kind of a level, maybe 113. I mean, bringing it back to where we were in September would be really bad, into 104, 105. This is actually the last time we bought Nvidia before today. We just bought it at lunchtime right now. I still like the stock. I think this whole DeepSeek stuff is well over dramatized right now. I mean, it might be under. I don't like. Let's wait. I just want to sort of shoot first and ask questions last for the long. I'm going to take a small long now on Nvidia, my own personal account, and just in my swing trade account, and see if this one can't get back up to like 125, 130, and then trade out of it from these levels. But I do think it's going to be a little bit of a rough patch until we do hear their earnings. But then when Nvidia and the market was just not stopping, this is where, in my opinion, the evolution of myself as a trader, let's get dramatic, okay? Because there's only one of us here. Like, this is the trades that I have on. Many people are always like, look at that trade, look at this. Can you take a look at that? I mean, Obi was like, when he was there, can you take a look at that? It's about like understanding why we have these trades on and what we're looking for. Well, the minute that broke that 123, and we talk about it very openly here, because we had sort of, I don't know if it's the balls or whatever you want to talk about it, but the guts basically to short this at day's low. To be able to short something at the day's low means you got to have some kind of conviction in this. So unfortunately, we didn't get it all out there. But once it broke there and it was red, we had flipped up to stop being stubborn and just get out. So it was already P&L number one here. Then we did this. And then it became a special day. So it's some traders will be like, it's not doing my thing. I'm in and I'm out. That's it, right? That's great to do. On a day when Nvidia is doing this many shares, again, Neil and I just filmed a lesson. Nvidia on a day like today should probably be on your radar, and it's either a great stock for you or probably a horrible stock for you. But if you're looking over here, you're the right spot. 570 million shares at 2 o'clock. So look, I love Nvidia. I love the long-term play on this name. But obviously, as we come into a little bit of a rough patch, especially heading into Wednesday's earnings, let's just see if the CapEx spending is still there with Meta and Amazon and Google and Microsoft and all that, to make sure that Nvidia is getting some of that pull through. And again, the guides will be really, really key for some of those companies. Do they consider still spending more and more money into the H100s, into all the newer chips, because that's really what Nvidia is trying to do. It's not about the story that's already been. Nvidia's already, where are we going? Yeah. We look down into our accounts, you're already hundreds of percentage points in the money probably on Nvidia if you believe the story. So now it's about, do you believe the other side of the story? And there always is one. So people complain, comparing this to Cisco, things like that. I mean, that could be. That's a very long-term outlook. I would suspect in the .com and Cisco famously not doing very well in the .com bubble bursting. That said, I think, look, you got to separate I just try to ask ChatGPT what the record for notional volume was on an individual day, but I don't think I asked it very well. I'll have to try to do that again. Because I'd have to imagine 570 million shares. Like, it has to be this. I just wanted to make sure that that's true. It has to be this. Almost a billion shares. That said, the thing about Nvidia, like, off the open, we talked about this, and honestly, like, this parallels August 5th in some ways, not always, but in some ways. On August 5th, you had a lot of stocks that were down huge, and it was like one shot right away off of the open. And if you were trading that day, like you remembered, it was either the sellers won right away, and if they didn't, you had a relief rally early. That was my only push in Nvidia. Traded other things a little bit
a little bit differently, but Nvidia was simple. It's a 10% down. It was SSR. Stocks like Nvidia don't go SSR very often. I think Tesla is the last example of a rather large company doing so. Obviously, Nvidia is much bigger. It could not break the pre-market low, and that was pretty much, it was it. It was just SSR bounce into the high. I tend to think AMD's in some trouble here. We already sort of went over this. Like, regardless of how this plays out, I think this plays worse for the laggards that were supposed to be catching a piece of the already existing pie, which if it's smaller, that's bad for AMD. And I think at least with Nvidia and why, ultimately I like buying the Qs today, and I think probably some of why Sean bought Nvidia is because they're best in breed. So if this is overdone, I feel a heck of a lot better about AMD than I do about Nvidia. About Nvidia than I do about AMD, which is potentially flat bottom breaking. We'll let this one calm down because it seems like it's making a bit of a bottoming pattern. But I'm looking at this low, this prior low here on advanced micro devices. Also, I mentioned SoFi, looking to short some pops there. But yeah, the story ain't over yet for Nvidia. And I actually think this earnings might not tell the full story because the CapEx spend, let's see if people adjust their guides. The guides are all that are going to matter this quarter because what is done is sort of already done. And we want to see if anybody's going to adjust their spending in response to this.
Uber next. Good look for Uber today, bucking the trend up 1/3%, defending $60 over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Coming into $70 today, rejecting it for the moment, though. Needham reiterating their buy rating on Uber, maintaining the same price target, guys, $90, a nice premium from where it's currently trading.
We are, I am bidding some 1750s on Nvidia for almost $6 on that one. Okay, look, you guys know that, and welcome for everybody that's new with us right here, right now. We want to welcome all of the viewers. Those of you that have been with us for a minute have known that, I've liked Uber here, and I've liked it at these levels, and not these levels, sorry, these $60 levels. We're now back into the money finally on our Uber trade, and I'm actually pretty happy the fact that it's holding upside right now, up 0.23. So is there a shot at $70? Yeah, I love this break. I am so excited to come in one day when we are either close to that or above $70, and then we can start playing long again on Uber. For now, I'm not going to go long. This has obviously been down 3.5%, 4%. I think the NASDAQ gets worse from here. I'm not super excited about earnings this week, but I'd like to see Uber above this $70 level, see if we can crack that. And once we do, I'm going long on Uber. So right now, again, the account is fine. We're back to flat on the position finally. Remember, we bought 80s, 70s, 60s, all the way down, giving us an average price of 67 and change. We've talked about this. So it's nothing to brag about, but it's a longer term play. I like the space. I like it for AI. And we just looked at the daily chart. It's still above its 50-period moving average. It's coming into a buy level, though, right now, I feel like. Nice move up, retracement back into the 200 period, including Friday's close. So yeah, 68.50, maybe a spot to pick up some Uber here into the afternoon. What price is it now? Yeah, 68.75. Could be a good one. Okay, by the way, there's Nvidia. So Neil, it is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a $5.50 winner right there for Nvidia as that now collapses all over itself. We said today was a special day. It's even much more so now, reversing into the short and sticking with the overall trend. So good trade there on Nvidia and Uber. I like the stock too.
It's hilarious on Uber. Great trade on Nvidia, but it's hilarious what I said last week. My plan of action was on Uber because I completely dismissed the possibility of exactly what's happening. I basically said, oh, you're going to close the week above the 50-period moving average on the daily. And then that's when I was like, yeah, that's my confirmation to, I already own Uber, but I actually haven't bought it anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be my confirmation that you'll be able to do it. And then what actually happened this morning? You were underneath the 50-period moving average, which is wild. Did not see that coming. Obviously, it has recovered, so I think it's fine. It's covered back above. It would have to. All right, let's knock on wood a little bit here. Unless it drops $3 in the next 2 hours, then Uber will close above the 50-period moving average. And for myself, just for the long term, and it's not a trade, it's just a long-term play. That was the condition I wanted to see to add to it. So crisis averted, barring an absolute abject disaster, Uber is going to give me the conditions that I want to maybe hang on to this one for the long term. I sold some of this when it got added to the S&P 500 and essentially been looking for a place to get back into it. I think when it chews through, when it chews through this 50 period in that 70 level, that's a break that you got to have. not every breakout trade works, but some breakouts are certainly built differently. And there was another name in here. I'm going to get to these that we did look at in a similar vein that I want to sort of talk about here. And it's not necessarily Uber and it's not the same thing, but Rivian in that same pace just held the 200 period moving average. I don't know if we'll get a chance. We'll talk about it unless I trade it this afternoon. But we're going to close holding that 200 and trying to break the 50. I like that setup. We can close above the 50 period here on Rivian. I think there's a nice little short-term long in that related name as well.
Erasing almost $90 billion today in market cap is Oracle, down 14.33%. Also one of the ones getting hit hard from the news that we got out of China over the weekend, which is their DeepSeek AI model. Obviously, Oracle is one of those companies that's involved, guys, in the Stargate project, earmarking $50 billion with Masayoshi Son's SoftBank as well as Sam Altman's OpenAI to spend on AI, and this is calling it into question.
Great here. Yeah, look, we like Oracle. I talked about that earlier on today when it was only down like 10% or something. I was like, watch out for Oracle below, because if we're questioning some of these projects, I don't know if the funding is going to still be there. All right, Nvidia's still going down. Look what we did with iBit. I don't know why crypto's not on there. We'll talk about this in a minute. But this was just another trade right there. 56.25, and we had liked iBit. We talked about it coming back into those pre-market levels of 56. So in being really, really simple trading, this is what we're doing. So there it goes. iBit, nicely done there to the upside, and still that $5 on Nvidia. We just got filled at 50s. The low of the day is right down here when we weren't here, but 11. So basically right here. We've already got the low. All right. Oracle. So let's go. Wow. Yeah.
Ugh.
Not.
Ugh.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 145. Like that is. That's a little too much right now for Oracle. So not happy about this one. I'm long down here somewhere. At the end of the day, I haven't sold any of this thing. Obviously a big mistake. Look, when you come in and you see these things, sometimes you have to adapt to them, right? And it can be tough to do. So I'm going to let this settle down. Oracle, I love 200 period moving averages, and it looks like we got one right there. So giddy up on that one. But other than that, I think it's worth, I think all names that you like, especially in AI, that are big caliber names, and IBM would be another one, and Oracle, things like that fall into some places that need to be bought. I think you buy them. So down into here into 150, 155. It might not be ready today. Like I just took one more swing at Nvidia today. That's it, man. I have a lot of powder. We're gonna wait to see what happens a little bit lower. I think Oracle is the same play. If you're in, buy some more now. If you want to nibble down, but like honestly, this 150. Great level. If we break it, I think you're going to see 40s. So I would say, wait a little bit here on Oracle, because just got such a bump. And even last week, man, I was like, how come we don't know any details about this Stargate and this and that? And it just seems like, anyways, Apple. Congratulations, Ryan Hamblin.
You got to pick your spots. You got to know which ones you like. Like if Oracle's your jam, and for every reason that's a stock you like, then you go ahead. You dip by that. If you can't decide, but this is overdone, you can certainly buy an index. ASML, Lam, like all the equipment makers in the semi space got beat down. So if you prefer them, I think there's some pretty good value in a lot of those as well. I own Oracle from a really, really, really long time ago. It's just a stock that I've never, like John said, I haven't bought or sold it. I can't remember the last time.
Yeah.
And I've been on a semi-mission, and I do better than this. I'll admit to myself, on a mission for stocks like that, to just pick spots that if I get a chance to get out of it and then look to put it into something maybe I like a little bit better, I should just be more aggressive in doing so, because in any logical sense, I probably should have sold it at one of these highs. But it is what it is. If this probably presses to the 175 or to VWAP, not VWAP, into the 50 period, I'd probably sell it and then put it into the index if I can't decide where, or I might put it into a tech name that I like a little bit better. But I think you wait for the 200 period here. I'd be remiss if we didn't mention, I guess we're going to talk about Marvell. Yeah, we'll talk about Marvell in a second. I wanted to talk at least a little bit about ASML, and we'll do that specifically with the chips when we get into Marvell. But Oracle, it's not a stock that I'm looking to dip buy down here. It is what it is. I kind of feel like there's going to be better places to step in front of. And to be down 14%, I'm actually surprised it's as much as it is down.
Coming into psychological support here is Marvell, Neil. Into that $100 level we go. We had closed in almost 130 something back on Friday, guys. This is about to drop into that 20% territory, 19.25% in the negative. I hate to keep repeating the same headline, but that's what it is, guys. DeepSeek selling off all these chips and energy stocks. Keep your eye on those as well.
Well, these guys are the worst. So on a percentage, obviously from a market cap basis, I mean, it's not, like nothing's going to compete with Nvidia. But from just a sheer percentage point down, Marvell, we know what it can do when it goes up, and what goes up sometimes can be very violent on the way to the downside. This is not belonging in the category of some of the other tech names that we've seen get to key levels and bounce. It is out and about in the middle of nowhere. It lost a key support at 105, under the 50 with a ton of room to the 200-period moving average. It's right at $100, which psychologically could be a big level that can hold up for you there. And then you throw in the fact that we're not even going to they're always near the end of the earnings cycle, so wait till the end of February to even get their report. So this is a name that I don't own it, but I'd be staying away for a day or two to see if it's going to catch a bounce. This is not in that group that I'm a really big fan of. That said, for a trade, it is short sell restricted. So there's always the chance of the mean reversion long that can come in. And the $100 level just bounced as we speak. So it's trying to break trend on a 15-minute chart here. If you can do that, there's probably a scalp long that I might look for on Marvell, only because it's down so much. But that's a day trade idea because it just happened to wick 100 right in here just now.
Okay. I was like, what just happened there? Because I was just putting in a stop order for Nvidia, and then it just blasted through my level. I was trying to get stopped out of the last piece. We have less than 5% left of this as volume is now starting to go ham upside for Nvidia. We'll wait for a little bit of a pullback, but look what's happening right now. It is another one. And we'll props it up as there goes Bitcoin all the way. We have the low of, I don't know how we have this, but we have the low of the day there on Bitcoin, and we had written it down $56. So we told you, actually, if you rewind this stream, and I want to thank everybody for watching again, if you rewind the stream to 8:45, when we're talking about some of the positions that we're willing to take, I was like, okay, I'm bidding Bitcoin right here at iBid at 56.25. It just fell in. We got filled right up there to the 200-period moving average. So we only have now about 40% left of this position as it continued to climb upside right now. IBIT, what a banger position that is right there. But we are getting a little bit. I'm going to take this bid right there. Take a 57, cancel my 35s. Getting out of everything now on Nvidia to end it out, and then we'll work on that moving forward. So right now, Nvidia with a nice move up, as goes the NASDAQ as well. So nice little retracement here into the close, possibly now above VWAP. So watch out here into the futures as we look to take 21,250. Like to go a little higher. Yeah. Futures right now, not so interesting to me. We will have a better look in a couple seconds. So that's Marvell. What about Apple, Sharif?
It's above 232, Sean, about 4% and change right now. It was directional. I mean, there weren't that many pullbacks. I was watching this during the How to Trade show during the midday. Rosenblatt chiming in, boys, on Apple today, maintaining his $262 price target, maintaining the buy. Nothing changes there, just reiterating the same position. Apple up 4 and change.
Yeah, well, I mean, so like I actually just saw in the chat, is it Javier M? Can someone explain the DeepSeek sell-off? So just very quickly, essentially you have a new AI competing and outperforming ChatGPT in a direct test that was done with higher level efficiency and a ridiculously low price tag, right? So that obviously puts under pressure all of the build out and scaling and a lot of the spending that's going into the higher priced Nvidia chips and the capex spend on a lot of the big mega caps and just the frothiness of the AI race here in the US. So all of those types of stocks got absolutely bled today. And there were some sympathy names related to DeepSeek that had deals with them or used their technology that had some moves to the upside. That said, Apple did not go crazy buying Nvidia chips. On top of that, Apple wasn't exactly blowing it out of the water with their monetization of AI. So they weren't necessarily caught in all of this frothiness. So for me, it was kind of like one of those, we liked Apple off the 200 period last week, and it was bouncing off it today, and it was also up when the market was down, and it didn't have all that AI other nonsense to go with it. So I like the long off the open. It happened to give you like right into a 222 support level. Sometimes it is what it is. Like that's just the support in the chart. You can kind of see it there. It dipped right into it at the open and then was off to the absolute races. The mistake was not being patient enough with VWAP when it came back into VWAP. And obviously, you can't know, when the market was that weak, you can't know how strong something is going to be. But that's the other thing this morning. It gave you opportunities to be in very, very specifically and take individual shots on stocks. And then you got massive moves right away. So it was like an instant 222. And before scalping into the top, when it broke the high, you went the next $4 like that. And that's what the kind of move we had this morning. By the way, I did get into Marvell. Marvell did just press back into 101, but starting to come back a little. So I'm in at 27s. It just pressed into 101 and starting to come back a little bit here.
All right, great job there, Neil. Look, we all have our strengths, man. And mine, I feel like, is trading. We'll leave hosting now. We'll do both of them. But look at this here on the TQs. We just shorted right there, man. We are now short 78.90. We're 30 handles in the money. We just shorted it, and we just covered some right there at the 200 period moving average. We just went back into the short right there. So alert, alert, alert on that. We are now short. That's why we do little fun things like that right there. So we go short the market. Look, all right. So I'm out of 40% right now. I'm not. Nvidia's trying to go higher here. So I don't know. Like IBIT is honestly, Neil. Money. Let's go. This is just another day here, man, where this has been a great day. Look at IBIT starting to go back up to the upside. We just nailed that. That's 50 cents in the money. The TQs is coming back. So I have less than about 2.5% left, maybe even less than that in Nvidia. So I'm not too concerned about it. It's more about this futures position. Let's try to cover one more piece here, get down to about 50% left. And then I actually, now that I see this trade and just how we had a nice move up there into sort of VWAP, into this level, got to give it a little bit more room to breathe. So I'm not going to reshort it at these levels if it comes back. I actually want to give this into the 20s, maybe the 30s, and then use this top as my event. There, we just got... I'm going to use this area right here, 79.50 or so, as the spot. So there we go. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to get out of another piece. I mean, 15 handles right now in the money. We'll take it a little bit on the NASDAQ, just trying to like level up our game here as we keep talking about that. So let's just do that and see, because I'm not so sure this is going to drop out. So we only have 40% left of this. And if it continues to work, great. But I'm not going to short this now until we get into like 79.30 or so, and then up to there's my stop, 79.50. So we're going to wait to reload this short until then. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just waiting out for that one, watching IBIT really come through. I mean, I don't know, we had the money storm, but we need to do that right now, because on IBIT right here, it's coming in right now. These are real trades. I mean, we talked about it as it was happening. There's 56.25, nice move down in. I went and yelled to Sharif and was like, yo, we're long on IBIT right now. So shout out to Joe and everybody. But here we go, IBIT, nice move here. So we're 40 cents in the money on IBIT, $4 in the money on Nvidia, 30 cents now as here comes the market back in. Let's go. This is a nice move down now on the Qs, back into the 50s. Let's put a bid at 52, see if we can get that, and then we'll wait for more pain to come through. So. All right, Neil, you were just in two positions. Oh no, we'll talk about them when we get back. Fast action.
I think it's worth mentioning here, I just got back to the desk force after the rundown, and Nvidia actually commented here on DeepSeek. Nothing super clear here in terms of sentiment, but it is worth noting here what they said. So I'll just kind of take you through this statement as NVIDIA attempts to bounce. Basically saying here that it's DeepSeek is, quote, an excellent AI advancement and a perfect example of test time scaling, saying that DeepSeek's work illustrates how new models can be created using that technique, leveraging widely available models and compute that is fully export control compliant. It's basically saying here that a lot of this is just examples of how models work, kind of, I guess, undercutting what they did here, but not really commenting on how they believe that DeepSeek will impact the company itself. The other thing they said here is that inference requires significant numbers of NVIDIA GPUs and high performance networking. So they're basically saying they're going to need a lot of this in order to continue to, I guess, back that up was kind of the vibe I got here. But again, very, very kind of towing the line there, that NVDA statement. However, David Sachs, who is Trump's crypto and AI czar, also commented on DeepSeek over the last couple hours or so, saying that the R1 model from DeepSeek shows that, quote, the AI race will be very competitive, and basically just saying that now that President Trump has rescinded some executive orders here that will kind of allow American AI companies to work a little bit harder here. He says it's going to be a good look because he still thinks that the U.S. will be able to, I guess, withstand here in the AI space, but that, quote, the U.S. cannot be complacent due to the strength of Chinese AI format. So basically both the AI czar of the U.S. and Nvidia acknowledging the strength of DeepSeek here, guys. I think that's...
Okay, thank you very much, Adara. And just very quickly, there was a question someone asked in the chat, and I think, well, they were asking a little bit more about longer term for SoFi, but I was just in it and it just tagged VWAP, although, look at on the other chart, it didn't really break. It didn't close above VWAP. I might open to getting back into the VWAP short on this, but it did just tag it and then stop out. Was in it and then giving it to VWAP in there, maybe giving another chance. But the other thing is I had just gotten into Marvell as well. Well, it did we were just sort of talking about this one. It's down 20%. Obviously, that makes it short sell restricted. The uptick rule is in effect. Saw it hold the $100 level. Essentially just a mean revert, break prior candle into, from what, it just went 100 to 101. And then, all right, if you're watching it at 101, the second it got into 101 quarters, which is right in here, like instantly sellers just sort of emerged on the stock, right? So it was very, very clean and easy. And then the second it goes like the first dollar, which a stock that's down 19% might be prone to do, you can see the sellers start to come in there. So we just grabbed the quick in and out in Marvell. Like you said, this one is bleeding in a different way. And yeah, I think you're careful with long start. I think sometimes the SSR bounce, like that kind of a bounce is better on day 2 than it might be on day 1 when you're still having to deal with all this nonsense. When it comes to longer term on SoFi, I still own my SoFi shares. And I did take some out in November around the $16 level on SoFi. It is what it is. But I'm just sort of holding for it on this stock. It's after earnings. Give it a couple of days to settle down after earnings before making any rash decisions. It bounced the 50-period moving average on the daily here for SoFi. So far, so good for SoFi closing above that 50-period moving average. That is very peachy.
Guys.
Another one.
I mean, this is just happening again. Props it up to everybody. We just went short the futures. You guys watching, thank you so much. Randy, we have record viewers right now. And they always say, Sean, let's get into the futures. So we get into the futures. But only when it matters, only when we like the trade, right? I mean, that's the one thing. Again, Neil and I just made some videos out. And I'm proud to say, like, not only do we make videos and we talk the talk, but Randy, walk the walk. You have to. And I think our trading can speak for itself. There's the short. We hit the siren. Neil was talking. We hit the siren, let you know that there was a new position alert. And it was the futures. So there it is, man. Here it comes, 60 handles now as we're short. We're short. There it goes to the downside. Like we're short up here in the futures. And here it comes all the way to the downside. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, brisket. What did you have today? Pork. It was pork tenderloin, right? It was okay. We'll go later in the week. Yeah. But there it is, Neil. It's another banger of a trade right there. And again, it's about trusting the process. Now, when we come to the downside, we only have 10% left now. But we just covered it at the 50-period moving average. So it's pretty good. And we'll see about reload very, very soon. Randy, I did not buy Tesla in the long-term account today. I went over and bought Nvidia. I think Tesla down 2.5% is really just kind of like a ho-hum kind of day for Tesla. We've seen Tesla move a lot more aggressively than that. I mean, even just today, if you cover up that candle, you have many other days where we've moved many more points than 3 points. So we'll wait to see here come Tesla. Remember their last earnings, we sort of got that surprise and it was just see ya from 240 all the way up to $5 and now all the way back down into 400 again. So we'll have to wait to see Tesla coming on Wednesday. We're going to find out where that earnings report is and where they stand. I think it's going to be a super interesting day, the Wednesday. Stay tuned for that one where we will set records with Neil and everybody 100%. Else on the recap show as we will have Google earnings. We will have Meta earnings. Maybe it's not Google, it's Meta. It's
Microsoft
and
Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon, right? Yeah.
So it's going to be Meta. You
said
said
Meta.
Meta.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Meta, Microsoft,
but
Amazon,
Tesla. And Tesla.
and we have it's no
Yeah, no,
Amazon, it's Tesla.
Yeah.
And then
Microsoft, Meta, Tesla.
on Wednesday. And then Thursday, of course, is going to be a good one as well because that's going to be Apple earnings.
Yeah.
And you know, Apple is the apple of everybody's eye today. Well, Randy just left, but I was going to say Rivian's up today, and Randy loves that bad boy. And they've been, I know, but they're up a point in a market that's bleeding like I shouldn't use that. It's bleeding heavily to the downside. Like I said, I like what Rivian is doing here, no question about it. The fact that you're actually, look, it's not a great looking chart, but the fact that when everything is looking doom and gloom, it did not make a fresh low and it held a 200-period moving average. That's the first thing we want to ask for. As for today, it's kind of losing the bid a little bit here. So I don't love that look when you're trending up and then you lose the bid at VWAP. I think a lot of times I would rather see it get back into where we all started from, like 1260, before looking for any kind of a mean reversion trade, which is what I want to see today. Like right now, I'm looking for mean reversion. And that just means, like, if you have a strong enough upward move, like if this was a little bit more parabolic, I might just look for a trend reversal at a prior inflection point, like here, 102.5, 103. But it's like as quick as you get in, like you immediately are starting to roll over on some of these stocks, which brings me to advanced micro devices, which some like to call advanced money destroyer.
Yeah.
And the reason it has that nickname, and not made by me, throw that at Sean. The reason it has that nickname, for among others, is, well, this chart doesn't look the same as Nvidia's on a daily chart. Well, that's because you've got lower highs and lower lows, and a flat bottom break literally happening as we speak. 52-week lows are breaking on AMD. I like this for the play back into this nice consolidation here. This was a mean reversion trade, kind of what I'm getting at, like trend up, break down, and then get in. I want to see it do some kind of a trend up, break down, and then go with the trend to the downside. There was a question in the chat about AppLovin, whether I like them or not. I've never invested in AppLovin, and I cannot say that I have a big opinion on them one way or the other. What I can say is today's chart, like everything else, looks a little bit dangerous. It's hanging on to the 50 by a thread, but you could come back. Remember, the Fed's also on Wednesday, right? Like you could come back, and by Wednesday, you're losing this support. Right. If I like a stock, I'm generally a buyer in a situation like this in the long term. But this looks very, very dangerous if we lose the 50-period moving average, only because of how much it gapped to get to this $300 level.
Look at the Q
on AppLovin. That's it. I don't own the stock or anything like that, but it's a little bit troubling.
We're almost 100 handles, Neil, in the money on the Qs as we flush lower. All right. Look at this. You guys are talking about AppLovin and different valuations of different stocks. All right. This is why it's very important to zoom out. $1,000 here, Joe, invested in Nvidia 25 years ago. You'd have $2.8 million. Now this is, I retweeted this over the weekend. So maybe now after today, you'd have like $2.4 million, okay? Intel, $1,000 invested 25 years ago. There's inflation. $647. So $1,000 parked money into Nvidia or into Intel minus money. Like this just shows you right there that, you know, sometimes investing is a great tool, but you gotta look to see what you're doing. If you're in trouble on a stock and you don't like it, definitely consider if it's going to be a long-term play for you or short-term or scalp. Like I'm long Intel right now, but I won't be long for very long if it takes out the bottoms, right? Here it is, $1,000 invested in Tesla 14 years ago. So $1,000, $247,000. GM, $1,400. So again, there's, you know, as I've said, the two companies that I think have minted the most millionaires, Nvidia and Tesla, continue to be the ones, and then they're the ones today that, of course, when the going gets rough, tough gets going. Again, so yeah, these names are going to continue to get hit down. And oh boy, there's only one. And there it goes, man, to the downside. Let's just take this 100 handy right there, put this in our pocket right there again. There goes the TQs, man. We only have, again, out of the show, we have 20% left actually on that. I actually took a little bit less shares than I thought. I said 15% before. Looking at my total number of shares, we have now 20% left of this bid, and I'm just bidding right now at 90. I may have to close. Okay, we got filled. So that is your 100 handle dollar club winner. So we are now short here the futures from 21,260 down to 21,160. There's the short here on the TQQs, brought it back down in. We use it because it's triple the fun, triple the pain. And there it goes to the downside. So, hey man, we've did it. We have done it. Not only that, we also went long on IBIT right now and starting to get more out of this name. You know what, Neil? I just laugh at it because today it's coming easy to us. It's been easy to us for a minute. We had a couple of rough trades, but overall, this last little run that we've been on has been pretty good. And then you could just see what we've been giving you guys today. I'm in 3 positions. Neil's been in and out. We'll talk about them all. And that's why I keep asking like, oh, we're out, we're in, we're out. Ask us in the chat there if you want to know about any of the positions, because sometimes they'll come and go pretty quickly. I trade obviously a much different style, looking for myself. I now am looking for high quality setups, taking, bigger positions and trying to put up numbers. So if I see a scalp, we will get in and out. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It's just with this kind of a day, moving 3.5%, 4%, it's like we are able to hold on for a minute on Nvidia, then flip over to the short. And now look, it's paying off right here. The short, we are at the low of the day right now for Nvidia. So all this holding and everything like that has really been working out. So it's about believing in your stock. Do I hold, look at the size. Do I hold, that's what she said. Do I hold enough shares down here? No. But maybe we could get a little bit more as 117 looks like it wants to break immediately right now. Who else? I'm going to show you this. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. These are live level 2s right now of all of the stock that we're trading, including Nvidia, which looks like it might want to bounce. I'm going to wait to see what happens now at 117 flat for, I don't want, is it like breaking news? Okay, here we go. There it goes, breaking right now down through. I was going to throw to Adara, but honestly, guys, we just broke through 117 right now. It's a floss up kind of an action as we go $6 now in the money on Nvidia and $1.20, 120 handles, Neil, in the money now on this market. So yeah, today is definitely one of them days, the biggest day here for me of the month. So, congratulations to anybody that's either been both ways or continues to be net short as the market she be bleeding. All right, what's up, Adara?
You have news here on Dexcom. So there's basically a report here from Android Central suggesting that the senior vice president of Samsung, Han Pak, apparently said the company is working on a wearable, non-invasive glucose monitoring device. So now why is that a potential Dexcom play? Because DXCM, we know, is focused on diabetes work. So the idea that there could be a non-invasive wearable way to monitor that could definitely be a threat for DXCM. So DXCM on downside watch here as an executive at Samsung hits at a wearable device that could monitor glucose levels, guys. Back to you.
Okay, well, maybe the people are going to, you want a wearable device that'll measure your heart rate on a day like today, but good look for them. Probably not a trade that I'm going to be looking at. We like the chip names today, and you got to try to stick to what is moving the most, right? And sometimes the best trade or the best decision is when to get out.
Oh yeah.
Because it is what it is, and like a lot of times when you're looking at the tape, it's not obvious, but there are times, and I'll just quickly show you.
Even reverse.
Like I'll show you like Marvell here. This also, the liquidity on Marvell when it does this is not going to be gigantic. You can see how thin the book is relatively, 100, 200, 300 shares. Those are the biggest lots you'll see. When it got up to 101, distinctly different at the 101.20 level. All of a sudden, you started seeing like 10 lots, which will be like 1,000 share orders, like those types, 3, 4x what you were seeing on the up, and they just started sort of stacking it up. Now, when this happened and it busted through, we lost 101, and liquidity really changed. So all of a sudden, you went from like thick offers to no, there's not any liquidity within that 5 to 10 cent range like you're used to seeing before. It is absolute bloodbath. So got to get the you-know-what out of Dodge. It's AMD that I like a little bit more to the south side. As I'm kind of hoping this goes down 10% so that it's SSR tomorrow. But if it's going to get there, first things first, it's going to have to lose the 113 level as we speak. Oh my goodness, Tesla's going to lose 390. Tesla. This is the 50 period on the daily. I don't have to tell you. I know it because I've already seen the chart. This is going to be the 50 period on the daily when you get to that 390 level, which is pretty much right in here. We had recovered to it. Now you're about to lose the 50 again for Tesla. Yeah, there's nothing stopping this. This is also going to be the opening range breakdown under here. So 390. All right, that was an easy. I looked up and I saw the 390. I'm going to take a shot at the break.
All right, guys, we had just put this on for you. It's now 170 handles in the money on this TQQ trade. And it's the VWAP trade. It's the one, it's the only. And there it goes. It is now, the market is, remember I said, like, I mean, look, Nvidia's losing it as well. I think there's more pain to come in the NASDAQ. I'm not going to be dip buying this, I mean, the NASDAQ in general here until we get a little bit lower into the 200 period moving average. I'm going to call up in just a second to find out where that pain exactly is. But there it goes, man. I mean, we talked about it. We hit the siren. We tweeted it out. Go follow me at Trader TV Sean for this trade. It's to the downside. It's still a big one. We only have 10% now, but hey, this 10% holding is good enough, you know, to make this a pretty good stock here one more time today. To go with Nvidia, I'm just going to hold this. I already put the stop. Like, all right, what I'm trying to do is stop out at the 200 period moving average. This wasn't there. When we had came back up, obviously this is a dynamic change, right? That could have been another short, not a stop out. The stop out was the 50 period. We got stopped out when it broke the 50 period. Remember, we actually missed that buy. We meant to get stopped out there, but in sort of the, I guess, look, cry over spilled milk, right? We put on the TQs when this happened, but we could have also put on the futures. So right now, it's a straight downside move. Instead, we did this. Wow. Okay, you know what? Forget about it, man. Let's face slap it, Joe. Joe, look at this futures trade here. I mean, right into there, $79. I mean, shout out to the player, what's that called? The Playboy thing or the Playmaker?
Playmaker. The
Playmakers poll? Come on, man. Dude, we're in another zone today, my guy. I mean, trust me. I mean, there's one thing. I'm hosting and trading, but like, honestly, I'm all about the trades. This has been a big, huge day. And I mean, there it goes. The TQs, given live, Neil, like 170 handles straight to the downside. I know you're giving some
they're
fire.
all live. That's
they're
the
all
other thing
live,
about
but
it.
they're not all fire. This one particularly fire.
They're definitely always going to be live. That's what it's all about here, everybody. Like, and it's one thing, the talking heads that'll, hey, this move happened and Tesla lost this and blah, 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 and earnings calls and this and that. But at the end of the day, price action is a little bit different. And when you look at things in the past, you can sort of say, well, blah, blah, you know, this was happening for this reason. But none of that matters in the actual moment when the stock is going through a reversal. Like there was, like this morning, AMD was actually a strong stock relative to what was going on in some of the other chip names. Like it was higher lows and all that nonsense. And when the bid fell, the bid dropped like dropping the beat at a rave or something along those lines. Now we're going to get a bit of a bounce here. I want to be shorting pops, so I'm just waiting for the opportunity. The same way, here, like I'll give you the same way Marvell did this off 100. I don't trust Marvell off this 100 the second time, to be honest with you guys. I don't trust this Marvell a second time, but the same way it moved up, if I see a curl into prior resistance, I want to short that. But on AMD, where liquidity is much better. Like Marvell might have moved a buck, but when it did start going, spread opens up, and it's not the same as trading at AMD, which is going to have better volume, much better liquidity. So I'm looking for that same sort of press, and then we short it at the prior, whichever the prior resistance. If it's going to be here at 114, so be it. If it does any kind of a curl, 113.60, which is the prior low on AMD, I'm willing to revert that as well. BitBoss Crypto, thank you for the super chat. What is the benefit to short TQQQ versus just long SQQQ? Well, you're trading here. We don't pay for locates. So it's just easier in a general sense to trade something in the direction that makes logical sense. So shorting something to bet the market goes down because we don't have the restrictions on going short as day trading on a prop floor. That's the basic answer. But for a lot of traders, maybe if you don't have the ability to go short TQQ, and it would just easier for you to take the long in the reverse, there's nothing wrong with that. It's whatever happens to float your boat. Like literally in our blotters, it shows up green when you go long something, red when you go short it. So it's a lot easier to keep it steady that way by keeping it simple.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could choose either one. It's just, here, I'll call up SQQ for you. I would just say for everybody out there, probably SQQ might be better because of the fact that it's a cheaper price. So if you have buying power issues or something like that, as Neil mentioned there, SQQ $31, and obviously this TQQ price $77. And then for me, to that point as well, because we're showing, short, I want to be short the market. So we're going short the market. That's to me is why we're doing it. And again, Neil, I mean, with the fact that we don't have to borrow. So that would be another one there. All right, man.
Usually don't have to borrow.
Well, on the TQs.
Yeah.
But so right into there, most ETFs we won't need to borrow, but some stocks like a Rigetti, I didn't even try to trade that here today. Maybe we'll look at that in just a minute. But I want to look at Palantir right now. We talked about having the you-know-whats to short Nvidia right there. Like Neil said, it's one thing to be exact about levels. It's another thing to go short. So we just were like, oh my God, Nvidia it's not holding. If it's not holding, then it's going down. I almost feel the same right now about Palantir. The only problem with this is you're heading into power hour right now. So we're getting late in the day here. Does Palantir actually want to continue this downside push? It's been like a half hour of just straight, max pain, really. I mean, is that even a half hour? That's 2:30. Yeah. So it's been straight down with no relief. This is a good move down. From 74.50 down to 72.80, almost in a straight line with no relief at all. So, I mean, look, we're net short. We're short Nvidia, $6 in the money. We're short the triple Qs here, $1.50 in the money. And it's just a matter of do we actually want to flip long? For me, the answer is no, unless we can get...
Apple's a beast.
I was just going to say Apple. Unless we can get into a name, just happened on Apple right there, where we can either get a key to... I was just going to, honestly, without flipping, without... talking, I was going to say, unless we want to get into Apple, would be the only name long that we'd want to do. And we like 200 period moving averages. So Apple, missed opportunity. I see finally you're short AMD. So maybe, I like the shorts in the market. We're short. We are starting to cover. Oh, based on that, I'll let Neil discuss that position because I know it's a new one. The TQs, we're out if this breaks 75. We only have 10% left. Obviously, it's a good trade, but right into there, this level 75. Out. Someone in the chat tagged me and was like, what about reversing here? I wanted to hold that last 10%. Good call, though. If you ever had 50% or something and you get that spider feeling we call it, that gut instinct, that you think, that spidey sense that the market's turning, definitely cover some positions. Oh, and with that sense, I don't know if it's gonna look bad or not. I'm gonna go back to IBIT because I don't know. It's gonna look bad. I had the same sense on IBIT. That was wrong now. We got long down here at 56.25. Out 56.75. As it broke the 200 period, we got out more. Then I got nervous thinking the market was falling back in and we got out. So we will slap our face for getting out there. Still a good trade for us. We'll actually wind up being pretty good there on IBIT. So up small on IBIT, down small on Apple, up huge on Nvidia, Palantir and TQQs follow up the rear there as well. So we'll have basically no red names, but Apple is a red mark on the day. It's just not red enough to worry about it. Unbelievable. We were short there, 226. We wrote it down. But look at Apple.
I'm actually pissed off.
I'm really happy about that stock, though, at least for earnings. Maybe.
Yeah, pissed off is the wrong word. I'm upset that I didn't buy Apple in my personal account, and I don't have a good excuse for it. The Tesla's. We'll get to that.
You bought NASDAQ.
No.
You're fine.
The reason why I didn't buy Apple is actually a crappy reason. So there's the 390 break on Tesla, which I don't love as much as I did a second ago, but it's still trying to break down. What did I get? 88s? 88s on Tesla there. So that's actually not a lot of slippage. But I just looked over at what the NASDAQ did, which is wick the bottom and then come back. And my first thought was when that happened, my first thought was actually I should be buying Apple if we're wicking the bottom. But Tesla just broke the 390 level. As always, on a scalp trade, on an even dollar break, I want to make sure I'm taking profit out into the first support level, which oddly enough is right at 389.30 from here. And then this bottom in here is 387. So that would be the targets to work it on down. I did take that AMD trade as well. So I am in AMD, but just to go over AMD for a quick little second while Tesla likes to matriculate itself to said downside. AMD, I only want to risk about 20% of what we did on the VWAP trade here on AMD. So it's a relatively tight stop to this prior bar high in here. I don't want to give it too much room. Yeah, it's at the lows, but it's bled a lot to get down here, and this would also be a mean reversion if it breaks that out, which usually I want to look the other way. The reason why I'm pissed off that I didn't buy Apple on my personal account despite buying the NASDAQ is simple. My only reason for not buying more Apple is that I recently bought it off the 200 period. And the only question I should have asked is, do I want to own more of it? That's the more relevant question. And the answer to that was still actually a yes. Wow, that was quick on Tesla. All right, that's kind of a flat trade, but... Well, okay, technically we're going to have made money on that. We were down on Tesla today, but ultimately I'm going to call it a flat trade. It broke down, and it just came right, it got right down into the 389. I'll get rid of these wicks in a little bit. It got right down to that 389. Once it tagged the first dollar, give it a break-even stop because I don't want to get trapped at the low of the day like we were just talking about with AMD. So we get some of it back on Tesla from being down on the original breakout this morning. But yeah, the market trying to make a little bit of a bottom. I'm angry that
making money.
I'm angry that I shouldn't have been in Apple on that dip. So I do want to try to get an Apple dip buy if we're able to. But maybe this 230. I looked at the prior trend line that it had going that got broken. Maybe you can hold on to this for 231 or 230. Apple should be a long until proven otherwise. But this is just always going to be my style for a breakout trade. Breakout trade either works right away or it doesn't. Not trying to get trapped in Tesla. As I said, Tesla was my only red stock this morning, and now it's not my worst stock today. But I still consider that a bit of a failed trade because you want that breakout to really go. I thought Tesla was going to be heading to 380 or something along those lines, but it's not.
All right, so just quickly there, we did get stopped out of that, so we'll props it up to anybody that has some discipline. And as Neil just mentioned there, discipline when you're wrong, discipline when you're right. It's the same discipline. It's you have to reward behavior based on some sort of a skill set, right? And if you're going to buy dips and sell highs and lows, you also got to have outs. And like right there on the TQs, obviously down that 10% right there, you got to take that profit. So we did that. I was feeling some kind of ways when we got out there, and then it went whoops right back in 25 cents. But look what just happened now. Right back to the upside. So I'm not feeling ways now. And it's just like before when we had this Nvidia trade, it's whoopsies. It's like not everything's going to work out, as Neil just mentioned, depending on your style, right away for you. This was a breakout trade for Nvidia, but a breakdown the other way to the downside. So as you can see, there's some covers. Those aren't us getting out. There's the cover of the short, of the long, then getting out, then getting into the short, and now it bleeding to the downside there. So a good little piece there for Nvidia. And look, guys, if you're a skilled enough trader to make trades like this, but lacking capital, prop firms offer the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase your skills. Access account sizes ranging from $5,000 to over $500,000, and you can start with as little as that $20 bill in your pocket, Joe. But with 500 prop firms out there, how do you find out which ones are the best? Pause. Good. That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Check on your screen right now. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed firms with proven track records and consistent long-term payout histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews. Explore payout histories and discover the best current deals. You guessed it, all in one place. Scan the QR code below or visit propfirmmatch.com today and find the perfect prop firm for you.
Well said. And yeah, make sure you got them payout histories. That's a big one in there because I say it every single time.
Sign my damn check.
Like I said, I won't name any firms, but we know traders that were at sus. I shouldn't say sus, but it is if you don't get your payout.
I'd say it's pretty sus if you don't get if you don't pay the man.
If you can't get your money out when you have a winning streak or when you have wins at all,
that's how people get fitted for concrete shoes.
Figure out
what size people are around here.
Some things can happen if you play with someone's money. You play with big worms' money. You playing with big worms' emotions. That's what it's all about.
You're just swimming with the fishes, man. Yeah.
Joe knows what that's all about.
He said he doesn't need the concrete.
What does Joe do?
Size up his shoes there.
I see what you're saying.
Joe's Jamaican, man. I thought when I was seeing Joe before, I was like, hey, my Pakistani Joe, how's it going, my guy? He's like,
which is wild, because I actually...
This guy looks...
Although, you know what? No. I knew Joe was Jamaican.
Yeah, I knew. He had told me that before.
Yeah, it came up in a conversation.
He looks Italian. I don't know.
Does he look Italian?
Much more so than Jamaican. I mean, come on, doesn't?
Well, yeah,
Right.
I think that would, obviously,
yeah.
that is
Put a
what
poll
it
up.
is. No, yeah, he probably does look more Italian than Jamaican, but
I
at
think
the
he
end
just
of
looks Italian, period, to be honest. Probably more so than I do.
Big
Okay, so what's up, Big Perm? Yeah, that's
Big
right.
Worm.
Yeah, Big Worm. I mean, we maybe have to, look, we're not having another Friday today. Today is a Monday, and Friday was not a day like today. Because Friday, we actually, had a little bit of a dip down in Nvidia. I think Friday was down maybe 2%, something like that. And today we bleed even more.
It's a little different.
17 and change percent
It's a little
today.
different.
Just a little small difference there. Okay, SPX. Oh, Broadcom. So Broadcom wasn't their name. All right, so just Nvidia. So we are out of the TQs.
good
For Nvidia, the 50-period moving average is generally a spot. Now we don't have, I've traded thousands of shares of Nvidia today. Okay, so the amount of shares that we have left is if small, finite amount, finite, big or small, I don't of shares left. And the thing is I'm just trying to hold on to see about that bottom. I do think a reload probably at this 119, if we can come into that level, would be something that I'd be looking at. So that's a spot for me. So into there, that's going to be what we're looking at right there for NVDA. Okay, so that spot for short, we'll try it again. Peaked out. We keep on making lower highs as we go down, so we can sort of draw that line. Although we are trying to slope up a little bit here on the 200 period moving average, we do have to be careful with it. So that little peak there is 119.60 or so. So I don't think we get stopped out until then. I don't want to mess with that. That is 119.50 almost exactly. That starts at, all right, so we could start getting short at 119, right where the 200 period is, try again in the 30s, but I am going to respect that. We sort of coined NVIDIA when it gets into meme style, and right now over 633 million shares, it's been meme style all day, where it just goes and goes, and there's nothing stopping it. It'll just go 1801, 1802, like you're seeing right here, 03, 04, 05, 06 we just saw, and it just ramps, but today it's going the other way. So I'd let it cool off, which is what we did up here with NVIDIA. Tried to let this thing cool off at the top, and it was doing it. We noticed that it was getting shorter and shorter, the lifespan, so we kept getting out. Tried it there at VWAP, got out, more longs down here at 123 finally, and then when the bell tolls to the downside, breaking that 123. So yeah, we're getting close to maybe getting out, but I think we're just going to reload and then see if we can get out near the end of the day. So that's going to be a trade for me, 119.50 or so for NVIDIA. We'll start the short in and around 119, but that's still $1 from now. So it's kind of what we're working with. I mean, if you guys have any questions there, any super chats or anything like that, we could definitely go over it. I did get out of IBIT there. Maybe we regret doing that. So we'll see about getting into IBIT if it comes back into 56. But we're having our best day of the month. And at 308, unless we see something really start to come through, maybe a Palantir or something, we'll probably hang off until NVIDIA tries at least to get back to that 119.
Yeah, I think I'm at a patient point now with AMD. We took a hit on AMD. It'll still be my third best stock, but it was just, I said earlier, I'm not willing to give back more than a portion of the VWAP trade, which ultimately, generally just better. We like a mean reversion trade better. We like VWAP. I like a VWAP trade, especially when you're either bouncing off of it midday or in the afternoon. And so the trend down, a little bit different than trying to take a consolidation underneath the low, right? Where you're looking for bleed at that point. I think if we had bled through, essentially, you were at 52-week lows. The reason, I think I already said this, AMD, if it loses there, it's losing the 52-week bottom. Usually I don't like that setup, but I mean, come on. You can take a shot at that setup, give it the tight stop. If it bleeds, I think you can go a heck of a lot further. I don't think AMD's out of the water by a long shot, but for the next 30 to 40 minutes, or maybe even the next 15, let it revert up and then look for a trend reverse. So I want to see a trend reverse to maybe get some VWAP action in there. Apple doesn't seem to want that 230 that we wanted to buy the dip on. Let's go AAPL in there. Here, we'll just throw the black chart down. Doesn't seem to want to get to this 230. All we got to was 231 just now, and a little bit of a consolidation. I still like 230, but better. See all the buyers that were like, yeah, we like 230. We'll take 230. I feel like Apple is a stock that I only want to be looking for the longs in, at least for now. Warren in the chat says Tesla seems to be following MSTR. And in a general sense, I would think it's, look, the cues are going to be similar to what Bitcoin is doing, and then both are going to be making similar moves to that. Like you just did a bottoming tail on the NASDAQ, which we were pointing out on this 15, bottoming tail candle, and then a reversal. So Tesla, that's why we like the breakdown at 390, bottoming tail, but don't get trapped, like kind of stop it out, break even, and then you get a bottoming tail candle there. MSTR, like everything else recently, is going to have just done a little bit of a spike. What's distinctly different here, though, is you're not at the lows. Like this is already relatively strong. Bottoming tail was on the market at the low of the day. MSTR has already been putting in work and looking relatively strong. Now I'm just curious at what Mara is doing, because the thing about Mara is it bleeds more than the rest of the crypto space. Down 10% today and well underneath big support levels. What do you got here? 19? Oh goodness, it's at 18 bucks. Okay, it's nowhere close to the 200. I like shorting this one off the $20 level, the $19 level, and the 21. I just thought maybe with MSTR up, maybe Mara had done something a little more interesting. Maybe a VWAP trade for Mara, but this is actually worse and down further than I was anticipating when I just pulled it up. But thanks for pointing out MSTR. It did at least make me pull this name to the upside. Pull up so we can have a look at this. And Daniel, should we worry about Nvidia long-term positions? Define long-term. If some people, when they say long-term, like they just mean longer swings. In my long-term, I'm not selling any Nvidia based on today. Candidly, I didn't buy any. I bought the Qs. I thought that was good enough because they're a major holder in it, but that's my response to it. So it was mild enough concern that I bought the Qs instead of Nvidia, but not enough concern that I sold a single share of Nvidia. It's still the name that I want to hold for the next 5 to 10 years. There's I forget the name of the principle, but it's like an economics principle. And when you get increased in efficiency in a space, and you start thinking that's going to be bad because margins go down and all that, sometimes it also means that the uses go up when something becomes extremely efficient. So the fact that you have more competition, while seemingly bad because it can lower their dominance, can increase the amount of actual use of AI in the long term, making it bigger and better for everybody, because competition ultimately can be good in that regard. So I kind of fall into that side of things, that this is long-term, not death for NVIDIA. Short-term, yeah, you might get some dip buys.
Okay. Let's just iron it out because, we started the show because, and I want to thank everybody for joining again. Hit the like, hit the subscribe again. Setting records today. I want to thank everybody for that. I want to say a big shout out also to Bears vs. Bulls. Welcome back, my guy. Look, getting out has to be part of the plan. There's one thing about getting in, getting out also. The fact that we're able to get out of that TQs right there saves us now from this. So even though it was only 10%, and we questioned it a little bit when we got out, principle there, on that. All right, when does NVIDIA become a buy? Immediately, in my opinion. JP Morgan, SMH, Palantir. Let me look at JPM. Again, if there's any stocks. Oh, someone asked me about SPY. What do I think about the SPY? So, look, I actually think that this move up in Apple, although great, I am a little bit nervous, heading into earnings and everything like that this week, especially when we just had Meta hit all-time highs. I am still very, very long Meta. I'm still long all of tech. Pretty much my biggest holdings are all of these names. So I want to get more into the Dow and the SPY. Do I think the spiders can hit 4? It was 584. Yeah, we hit 584 tomorrow. I mean, I don't, that is very, very possible. That's another move down here today. It's only down 2%. SPY could go down another 2% tomorrow. So knock off 2% out of 600, and there you go. That would be $12 down. So that is quick math, gets you actually right at your question of 584. So yeah, I think the spiders can bleed. And the thing about the SPY is, and this is why I was going to go over to a JP Morgan and to some of these other names, right now today, what if you get a story about banks, or what if you get a story about XYZ that's not tech related, while you're still going to get the push down in these tech names. Like what if Caterpillar? What if, I mean, there are other earnings names coming through. I mean, we basically always highlight some of the big cap tech names because that's what matters. But at the end of, in a day like today, but at the end of it all, there's so many other names that create, you know, value and or moves in the SPY. So you're gonna have to watch out for the banks. I feel a little nervous about that. Look at JP Morgan. This is the thing. Like if Steam's gonna come out, you basically get what I think is a little bit of a Fugues story with this DeepSeek, but you could get something that comes out with the banks as well, sending this a little bit to the downside. And if that happens, then you will see the S&P 500 to the downside. So
well, Caterpillar's down. Like, look. I mean, it's like I have diversified, a pretty decently diversified account, but in terms of non-tech, my largest non-tech holdings are like Caterpillar and I mean Eli Lilly, which that was like a happy accident, and I'd like to turn Walmart into that, but it's not yet. But Caterpillar's down 3.5 points today. You know, like it's. No, because you got to think about it. Like they would build out a lot of the data centers. So a lot of the spend, they are in the group a little bit because all the infrastructure build out, they do it. So they're going to catch a little bit of a headwind there. So ultimately, you're not always just because you're in one sector or another. There can be a little bit of contagion or bleed from one to the other. I just found it a little bit amusing when you said like XYZ.
yeah, because now
that's block. Like it used to be the whole, well, when you're talking about a random name, you just say XYZ or XYZ. We're supposed to say Z because we're Canadian, but it's still Z in my heart. No, they're bleeding.
That famous rapper Jay-Z, you know.
Yeah, you know, that's I actually don't like Square. Oh, that's right. This chart's not going to show it. But Square actually not having a very good day today, or Block not having a very good day. I'll talk about this in a quick little second. We'll go to Adair. She has breaking news.
Yeah, we did have some news here on EL. Basically here, Bloomberg reporting that Estee Lauder is said to be reviewing its portfolio of brands. So again, Bloomberg reporting that Estee Lauder is doing a bit of a brand portfolio review here. Keep an eye on EL. This one did actually break out of its resistance zone, but right now falling back a little bit. Either way, EL, a little bit of volatility on that report, guys. Back to you.
Buddy, get some Estee Lauder. Let's have a quick little look to see what's going on with EL right now. See if we get some updated levels for you to have a quick idea. All right, so you never want to overreact to these kind of plays. Obviously, someone did. Someone got hit the buy key pretty good there, all the way up to $86. So we always say buyer beware when news stories like this break. But Estee Lauder right now just pulls right back into that level. So great story, great news, all the way up to $86. You know, maybe someone's gotten wind of some kind of a levered deal or something because you were down here to $74, bouncing off the 50 period. Now trying to take it out. Still a company well beat up, well battered, but you know, I don't know. Look where it stopped, like right here, 86, 87. So just be careful on that. It does look like there might be something up with Estee Lauder right now. So good story. Maybe trade this with options, but for right now, this $90 mark looks to be somewhere like a top. And even then, it just kind of topped out right here too, 85, going back to September levels. So yeah, watch out for Estee Lauder. Maybe we can think of some other names in the space that might get some love as well. But right now, Estee Lauder up 1.60% doesn't seem like too much underneath the hood there, but we'll wait to see if it comes up. We have
you want that.
We have different names.
Yeah, you always want it to, when you get news like that and get the spike, you want it to like hold that prior breakout, the VWAP, and then make some higher lows, ideally. All I wanted to show you on XYZ is that our chart, I'm gonna have to use an E-signal chart because our chart, kind of from the moment at which it changed from SQ to XYZ, it's like it doesn't exist before. So whenever I pull up XYZ, it's only gonna show the last few days, but this is what I'm getting at for Block. This channel is, I think this is a tradable channel for XYZ, and I own it in my long term, so I don't like saying that because it means when you pop into the top end of the range for Block, I think you gotta look short that day, and you look short until it gets to the bottom end of the range. And even then, I prefer the short when it's channeling down like this over the long, which I would think goes without saying a little bit. So yeah, kind of a nasty, It's a nasty looking move there on XYZ. When that's the same thing that AMD looks like on its chart. So AMD underneath that 113.5, which was the bottom break on the daily chart, it comes into next resistance, which is at 114.5 or 114.25 to 114.5. And now I want to see, it's about to run this top again. Let's see it fail this top before we just jump right on over to it. But AMD looking for the next resistance spot. It's not VWAP, but it's 320. There's not that much time to put any more trades on. Apple is close, but no cigar yet. It's right here holding on to this 230 level, but still in a little bit of the downswing. Trying to close holding this 230 for the second time here on Apple. That was a heavy red candle. That's actually the biggest volume candle since the morning. What would happen?
Just it's fine. I mean, today's a big day, but like we talked about shorting Nvidia where? At the 200 period moving average. At what price? At 119. Like it got to it got to 118.80 right there. We were 20 cents higher from another one. They're coming back in off the 200 period moving average of one. Like that was another $2 right there. Oh. We're still holding a piece, and maybe I should have got out, and then I maybe would have been looking at it more, but that's too bad. So right into there. Now we have to, I mean, if it comes back up, I almost think it's worth a try again. It's getting late, though. 321. We don't necessarily want to be in too many names into the close, but wow, that's too bad. That was a great short. That was the one that we were looking for, and we missed it. So too bad for us on that one. But, you know, you're not going to get absolutely everything. The other name that I was thinking about was TQs. Just bounced off the 200 period. Not as in love with the futures as I am. As I said, I really like the Nvidia push down. And then we did talk about Palantir. This one I don't feel as bad. We didn't talk about this with any conviction. And you'll know, like when I talk about something with conviction, I'll take the trade. This was that trade rate down there on Palantir. We were talking about 73. Thing is, the market, I thought we were going to continue to bleed. We were actually short the futures when we were talking about Palantir. It stops completely on a dime there at 73 bucks and then straight back up to the upside now, about $1 in the money off of that level. So I'd say let Palantir breathe. If anything, now I'm even thinking about the long, but that's not going to have to be anything until 75. So I like a 75 break on Palantir long. And I actually will take that because we'll clear VWAP. We'll be bouncing off the 200, bouncing off the 50, clear easily through VWAP, then take out that nether level of $75 on Palantir. So again, I don't want to feel too much FOMO on this trade because I don't. But right there, what level is that? Yeah, 75 bucks. So fine by me taking that and then the support of VWAP. So a new trade alert that we'll put on if it breaks. We're still $1 away from it, $75. But it could come in, right? So $75 there on Palantir for a potential DeepSeek, I just read in the chat, for a break there happening one more time. And then the other one I liked, again, I
don't know why I find that.
For longs was Amazon. We're now $6 in right now on, you have Amazon? Oh no, we're in the other two.
No, I just said I love Amazon.
Yeah, me too. I was like, I didn't want to talk about it if you were into it, but right now, yeah, that break of that top isn't that horrible either, 234.50. It's just, I don't think we want to go long with only 30 minutes left. We're both short right now.
No, Apple's
you're 1-1. Well, Apple long is...
Apple's Apple.
I'm not even going to count that against because, what's up, Ozan? There it is.
Because
we like the long in Apple.
No, Uber is strong too. There's other stocks other than Apple that are having really good days today. I don't know, so like Apple off at 230. I'm probably jinxing myself by saying Uber is strong. So don't at me if Uber just lost support here, and okay, never mind. Okay, fine. When we opened the show, or when we started the afternoon show, Uber was holding VWAP. So I have this tendency to jinx things, and it was green on the day. It was clearly strong. You were holding out really well, and then all of a sudden I go and open my mouth, and it's lost VWAP. So it's no longer up on the session is Google. But when you're down 0.1%, I'd like to say that counts when the market's down 3. It's still good. It's like when you drop something, it's like a 3-second rule. It's still good. So Uber is still good, even though it isn't strong. Apple is trying to break back. I like to keep in trend lines. All right, these bids are no good. I'm not going to fill.
I don't want to go.
I like to keep up trend lines here when they first initially break. I just want to see if it starts respecting it in either direction. And if I see that happening, I can make the adjustment. Because like the second it got to the prior trend line from the VWAP hold, it started to check up a little bit here. So when that happens, I want to revert out if we lose the prior bar. If we break out, I want to hold till back underneath that trend. So we got into Apple, obviously long. You guys can see that. Waited for AMD to give us that crest. It did give us a break of the local support level, which it didn't do last time. Then right back into the highs. And the bottom might be in on AMD at this point, the way it's behaving. So look for the mean revert. But as always, if we break resistance, I'm jumping out of the trade. Don't want to fight it. especially when it's down 7% on the day. Apple, if we're going higher, want to see if we can get to that high of the day. I see Zabo in the chat saying XRP is pumping. Now, what's IBIT doing? I haven't really looked in a hot minute, but
me neither.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Ripple's doing. I actually have not looked at anything. I've looked at the crypto equities today, and I've looked at Bitcoin itself, but I haven't had too much of a look to see what the other things are going. I'm mostly Bitcoin in my holdings, some Solana and ETH, and that's about it.
Look, right now we're setting records today. We talked about that. We want to have everyone thank you for watching, but make sure you hit the like button. Right now, 581 likes, over 5,700 of you watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we've done this before, and it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. If you hit the like button, then the current trade that you're in will most likely move for you. So, I mean, hopefully in the money, but will definitely move for you. So hit that like button because the thing is, we have this little thing here. It's like it says do something. So like that's for us to do something. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Let's get that going up to 1,000, and we'll see if we can get this market popping one more time. So thank you, everybody, for liking the stream and watching and continuously supporting us day in and day out. And I mean, getting out of the TQs there, I'm not, maybe reloading this at VWAP. We talked about looking at an Nvidia reload. We still are in that Nvidia trade, so we'll be able to see if we do want to reload that once it comes up into 118, 119. I'm still looking at that 119 level. That should be something to take consideration, but it's 326. Let me check out what Tesla's doing. Is that north of $4 yet? Nah, not really. Again, this could be one of them trades right now. But maybe we should short the market right back up to VWAP. I still like it better up here.
Oh, never mind.
But then we'd be well above. But the last time we shorted, we were up here as well. I think let's do that again. If we can get back up into that area, we'll short one more time on the TQs. Again, you can see sort of what happened there. That was a good little move for us to that downside of the TQQs. So, all right, I think those are the plays for me here into the close, including Nvidia. We sort of highlighted what our plan of action was there on Nvidia. I think it makes sense. And then these TQs, again, I think that's going to be a play. And we're getting close to that level again, $79 or so for that kind of a short. Really impressed with Meta, though, today. Like ahead of earnings, I did not think that we would have made all-time highs. It's still above its all-time high close of 652 and change. We did get up to what, 665 or so today? Wow, 665 right there for Meta. Like what a rocket. This name was just 550. Like it put $100 on its name in 2 months. Wow. I mean, and it's not even like it's a new story. It's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's WhatsApp, it's
oh my God.
It's oh my God. Like great name, and soon to be TikTok. Yeah, exactly. I think if Zuckerberg can get involved with TikTok, that'd be interesting. We'll see if he is, but I don't think so.
They won't let him.
No, I don't think they're really bidding, are they?
No, they wouldn't let him.
No, I don't.
There's no way that they would ever let. No, okay, I shouldn't say that. It's highly unlikely. I don't like to speak in 100% certainties, but it's highly unlikely that they would ever let Zuckerberg own that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But then I say the same thing about Elon as well, and the Chinese seem to want that. But just very quickly in here, Apple did lose the trend. So remember, trend in, trend out? Well, it trended right into the prior trend line, and then it lost support. So gonna jump out. I mean, if I was bearish, I'd probably go short. I kind of still like Apple on strength. Let's see if it can bounce off 230 maybe a second time in here, give it a chance to be able to do so. And Rohit, thank you for the super chat here, Rohit. Appreciate you and appreciate all of our viewers. Like everyone else in the community, we just want you to enjoy the show. Everyone's just here to learn something and get better in their trading journey, whatever it might be, or maybe just get some insight on the markets and see what they're actually doing in real time and not 3 hours later after the dust has settled. Is IWM collateral damage from the Q's impact? Well, it's not helping. But I would imagine I haven't looked at everything that's in the Russell, but there's going to obviously be some small cap names that don't necessarily fit into this bleed. Like there's probably a bunch of biopharma stocks that are okay, or if they're having good days, they could be running on their own news. But in a general sense, it is a little bit of the same bleed here. So you're catching some strays. It's just not nearly as bad. You're only down 1 point. Like remember, this is an AI move down. It's a very specific catalyst that we have here today. And it is affecting some of the hyperscalers. It's affecting the chip names and the specific AI plays. That said, you were also at a pretty obvious resistance level on IWM that it's trying to chew through. That breakout is going to have to wait a hot minute over 230 on the Russell. I thought it was coming this week, but I guess not.
All right. Russell's going to be an interesting one. Okay, now we are short Tesla. We just had 50 cents. We didn't take it. We are now on the bid down there at 394.30. Maybe we can get that fill. Maybe we can't. All right, so that's what we're doing. We're into this level. I'm not giving this to VWAP, though, that's for sure. I was just looking at this 50-period moving average right there. It was this 396. That could be something that we trade off of. We're nowhere near the 200. Tesla continues to go to the downside. I mean, if we bleed into the close, let's try something right now for you. So against that level makes sense to me. 396.60, that might be a little high for Tesla. I am not trying to average into this. So the price that we have, I mean, right now it's 30 cents. I don't know how much you just took on Apple there, but like 30 cents for Tesla. Let's see if this falls back. There it is. Bang again, Neil. This is what a day we're having right now. A dollar club. It's another member, Joe. You're dressed pretty. I mean, you go to the club, Joe. Right there. Dollar down to 394 there for Tesla. So we just get out of some more. We're back into scalp mode there. Another 70-cent winner. We're out of 40%. Let's see if it bleeds even lower right now for Tesla. Bye-bye. Right there off the 200-period moving average. So, yeah. There it goes, man. It's a dollar winner for you right there again on the short. So I might just cover another piece of this right now. Having a little bit of a problem here at 394. Don't know why that didn't flush a little more aggressively there. So let's, ooh, nice little bounce back. Okay, I see you, Elon. I see you. All right, we'll bid something out in the teens now if it does come back in, and then we'll watch out now because again, okay. What's up, prop trader? What's up, everybody? Boy, Bob Curran, yeah, we get excited. And the reason why, again, we talk about this, you know, we're hosting and we're trading. And I mean, you could see Neil is not in any positions, but I mean, look at the positions I'm in. And like, we just put this on, we explained it to you. So yeah, when it does work and it does go a dollar in the money, Neil, and we are helping out traders, a dollar in the money, Neil, we're sitting in $7. Like right now, Tesla's $1.30 in the money and it just dropped out right there. So this is why we're getting excited. Good trades. We got to do something. We're talking about it here. I know on the midday, we got some bangers with Joe and Sharif, but I mean, Neil, I think this trade, proof and pudding right here with Tesla, there it goes, man. Now more than a dollar and continuously going lower right there. So nice move now. We'll figure out, you know, where we go from here. But the spread on, we just took out 393.50. We just got a bid right now on Tesla. So there's your $1.50 right now. Now even extending out, Neil, this could be a $2 winner as we trade the trend. So obviously you could see right here, man, we're putting on the damage today. We've got it on Nvidia. We got it on IBIT. We got it on the futures, Palantir, Apple. It's all coming through. Thank you so much to everybody for watching. Now over 800 of you have liked the stream. So thank you. Thank you for that. And again, like sitting here finding these trades, obviously you can tell, aren't that easy to find. So, you know, we thank everybody for helping us. We thank everybody for continuously supporting the channel. As we're just short 395 on Tesla, it's only at 392 and a change. So decent trade right there. And thank you, The Hawk.
The Hawk in the chat. Shout out to you. Appreciate you so much. A lot of people asking about MU. Well, position board just left. There's only one position in there. Well, two. It's going to be Nvidia and Tesla. I got out of Apple, which we mentioned to you. Not going to get back into it yet because I am favoring the long. I'm looking back over at Marvell, as that was like the first trade that we made in here was the Marvell trade, and it's now got a pretty distinct range. Just held on to 100 a second time. But it's also going to be 330. I wanted to make sure we got a quick look at the early looking bounces, just so you guys can see that there isn't anything there right now. Well, a lot of times on a day with this type of volatility, I know I said it this morning that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some imbalances. That was the morning because of the doom and gloom that everyone was watching. And there were some imbalances that moved the market right away. Nothing stands at over 1 million shares going into the close. That's subject to change as we get a little bit closer to the end of the day. But this is starting to feel a little reversion like on Marvell. It just held that 100 a second time through. What I want to see is the selling that happened the first time we were along was right at the 101 quarter. If it does it again and can chew through that selling, I'm looking for like a late day kind of relief rally. In this particular case, selling the news or profit taking would be shorts taking profit at the end of the day. So be looking for them to break this level out here where we were selling into before and then go from there on Marvell. Got the eyeballs back on it. Apple cannot hold on to this 230.5 level, but it does hold on to 230. So it's still looking pretty good. What I don't like, though, is it's underneath the trend line, which just, for me, that's kind of a no-go when it failed that trend. I need to see it be a little bit stronger than it is. That's why I'm pumping over back to Marvell. Like, that was a pretty clean one the first time through that 100 level. If it can show me the same trade off the 101, then I think that's the next place that I want to be involved in, just going right back into that particular well. Only 25 minutes to go here till the end of the day. Usually I want to be generally flat or looking to get flat by 350. I think there's maybe one more shot before we look at the imbalance trades particularly, which might be Nvidia depending on size. So 101 quarter, that's what I'm looking to see break out here on Marvell, and then looking for a scalp into next resistance, which is like 102 half here. So just like the trade before, I'm looking for about $1 scalp move. If it can hold trend, maybe you get a little bit more than that. I will be watching Nvidia closely. If at the moment that I like Marvell, Nvidia has some kind of a hammer down candle, I probably am not silly enough to punch long in Marvell if Nvidia's last move was to tank. So I will keep eyes on Nvidia. I always have an Nvidia chart up if I'm looking at any chip names, regardless if I'm trading it or not.
All right, so just real quickly here, as we hold the 10%, as we hold 10% left of Tesla, I just put the stop rate here at 395. Let's just YOLO this thing. I mean, we're already short. We've already made money. Tesla's already going to be a stock that we can be proud of. Nice move down, but it did just bounce off the 50-period moving average. So, you know, the stock, what I use to actually analyze most of these moves, although we show you different charting, the platform that I use is the eSignal platform. And this is like an example of the charting right here. Make sure you do scan that QR code below. I just, again, 200-period, 50-period, 20-minute charts, just so easy, you know, beautifully loaded up here. The layout, easy to customize. You know, for me, having accurate charting and being able to backtest into the second charts or anything like that, like you could just call up Tesla right here. This is a 5-minute chart, 1S. You know, you're going to have now second charts here pumping through on Tesla. So again, like just different, not loading right this second. All right, I see why. There it is. So now here's like a 1-second chart now on Tesla. Sorry, I had the wrong setting there. 1-second chart now on Tesla. Like, look at this thing going crazy here as it loads it all up. So, I mean, this is live action. We talked about different traders will use different tools. I mean, here we go with eSignal. Just great opportunities. And actually, hey, now that I look at this, we talk about the backtesting abilities of Tesla, of eSignal. Look at it hold the 50-period moving average on a 1-second chart, Joe, right there, and then it breaks. No, there goes Tesla. All right, we're short Tesla. It's another one. But a nice little move there for Tesla and the 1-second chart. And again, eSignal, you know, trade smarter, not harder. And I think that if you're using some of these indicators, you too will be able to trade smarter, not harder. And again, it's all about being comfortable with your platform, whether or not it's eSignal, trade ideas or anything. Just be comfortable with it. You know, get out the right ideas in the right areas, and you too should be able to be successful.
And the other thing you can do, which I'm getting back into eSignal myself, so I know I'm going to have some questions for Sean and some of the other traders that have used it a little bit more frequently. Yeah, it's fine. No, they're literally basic stuff. No, but the other thing you should always consider is, remember, if your broker works for you, you sign up with eSignal, they work for you. They actually do have a robust
a support system,
which will allow you to get the most out of the platform. That's the important thing, because there's always going to be tools in there you might not even realize that you have, or you want to be able to learn to use. Whether it's an indicator or whether, like Sean said, it's like, it could be tick charts, it could be like the 5-second or the 1-second charts.
If Nvidia breaks, I just want to say 119, I'm out. So go ahead with, I know you were just...
No, I joke about the 1-second charts because that's something that I've never really looked at it.
No, I was joking about those too.
No, but there was a couple of times where I've been shown the open. I think they're very extreme cases where it can teach you something about where you should be putting your stop orders and how aggressive to be or not to be when you're trying to take a break at the open. And in the intraday market, when you're trading a big cap tech name, it doesn't really matter that much. But specifically at the open, it can give you some insight as to what's the price I'm not willing to pay and how far do I have to cross to have a good shot at an entry point without getting a ridiculously bad fill. I think that's a value in a 1-second chart. I've never really used them otherwise, to be honest with you, but there's a conversation I had with some of the boys on the floor, and eSignal does give that to you. So the market's trying to bounce to the upside here. Marvell's running into resistance at this spot. I mean, the idea was I was looking for a relief rally off of this spot, and it's running right to prior resistance and then running out of steam. It's running out of time to punch through this 101.40. It's always tempting, you see the selling, to jump into the short, but I kind of wanted this breaking out from this level. And Razor in the chat, thoughts on Trump demanding Powell to cut rates immediately? We already knew, A, that he was going to say this, and B, what Powell's response was going to be. I just don't think the Fed right now is the biggest mover in the market. And obviously, you've got the AI news today, and then you've got all the earnings coming through. Is anyone really caring more about what the Fed says on Wednesday versus the big three big tech names that we get earnings on this week?
I didn't even realize the Fed was reporting.
I know that's not me. I mean, I'm laser focused on, I guess, the earnings. We'll worry about the Fed, I think, in a quarter or so. If that's even, in a quarter or so, then you worry a little bit more about the Fed. You always keep an eye on yields, keep an eye on the VIX, that kind of a thing, but I don't know if we're going to get any surprises out of the Fed anytime soon. That's just my 2 cents. Nothing surprising about Trump wanting the rates to come back down. We knew he was going to say it. He said it. Powell said, they don't care and they're data-driven, all that good stuff, and they're not going to make any moves anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I mean, I sort of said that in my little piece last week about it. I was just like, I don't think Powell has any, really, I think it's all about Trump. It's all about the tariffs, all about that talk. It's all about everything, the data dependent. I think Trump will just speak whatever he wants to, and Powell will just have to listen to it for now. And then at some point, I don't know. I don't want to say like executive orders or something like that, but you never know what this guy's going to do. So let's just leave it at that for right now. Okay. All right. So the trade on Tesla is what it is. We're waiting for that very bottom. And if we can get 390, then so be it. Let's just put a bid down there at 390. I mean, you guys want to take another $5 in the market? I mean, this is what we're here to do as a trade, right? So I thought that this risk to reward, we've already cashed out. Tesla's already a big boy here. So let's put a bid right down at the low of the day and see if we can get a 390. Now, again, that's not going to be the very low of the day. Yeah, it is. All right. I didn't know if we got lower than there right off the open, but we did not. Tesla was one of those names that just got going. It never really gave you a pullback except for just all of that madness at the open. The pullback doesn't start until 10:30, which was right there. And then now we continue to go short, and now it's confirmed because we did not break any of these highs. We kept on making lower highs all the way in until eventually right there, it might have looked like a breakout again, but then you had the support of the 200, and then we did it again. Here comes the high, right into the 200. Trust me, it's not rocket science. Like we said, man, I'm here to trade, and right there, boom, 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 came in again, we shorted it. Obviously, I wish I would have left one more 20% fill. We get 4 fills, each worth 20% or so, right into there, this 393 or 394. Again, we like to take that dollar early. It was kind of really quick, came within 5 minutes. I wish I would have kept one more piece for that 390.250, which we're coming into right now again. So let's see if that can happen. I'm going to put a bid at 390.50. If we get that 390.50, that will obviously close the trade. And again, the risk to reward, you can get out at the 200 period, which would put this basically flat. I'm just going to give it to 395. So break higher on that, fine. But right now, it is $125 in the money on this name and $5 in on Nvidia. But this Nvidia short is just a piece of the pie until we see that low one more time. And I think we can put a bid down there as well. 116, let's put a 117 bid. So just in case these imbalances come through, we'll be shorting those. Now, we stayed away from the Qs. Like, again, let's just props it up. We'll do the Barry Horowitz, the forever jobber. That's what I feel like. It's just like it came in there, we got out, and then it blasted back up, and we took these outs basically at that low. We don't have the very low, but if you're going to trade futures, it is very, very hard to be exactly precise. So we're able to get that fill right there, just over view up and using some of these wicks as our tops. Then we weren't able to capitalize completely on the bottom. So we do have no more left, and because the imbalances are coming, as Neil's mentioned there, I'm not going to be into anything right now into the close. We're just going to hold what we have. Right now it's Nvidia. My out, honestly, I was going to give this to 19s. I'm not going to anymore. It's too spicy. 118.76. There's no point in throwing anything back. So 1118, 81s. That'll be my out right there. Out of 100% of it. Wrap this day with a pretty bow, and then just call it what it is, man. It's going to be my biggest day of the month, and it all just started early, and then it happened late with Nvidia, it happened late with Tesla, and it happened a little late too with the Qs. So that's it, man. Missed opportunity on Palantir, and we could have. You see, you want to talk about sticking to your goals, and Adair, we talk about getting wicked out all the time. I punched out of this. Like, I thought IBIT was coming back in, and oh man, Neil, are we even more than what we think? I don't think so. I mean, we're trying to, okay, someone messaged me, okay. You know, we're trying to just talk about our trades while trying to stay humble a little bit here, because honestly, this IBIT at 56, like, we called this trade, and there's the long down there at 56 on IBIT, and we had it, but then we just didn't believe in it, to be honest with you, so pie in my face. But there's the 56 there. There's a nice little runner up to 57.50. So a nice move on IBIT. We have the stock, but we did get stopped out, and we just got stopped out of Tesla as well, as it broke through 495. So there we go, man. Ending the day, not on a high note, but we'll be at our highest spot, because closing this trade now, we're finally flat, plus the Nvidia trade, we'll be at the highest spot we've been at all day. And again, Nvidia, to me, the number one stock for me for the month, and the number one stock for me today. And I'll start it early. And late, we're going to get out. You just saw where we're going to stop out. You know, only 4 minutes left.
Yeah, it's...
And we got some earnings tonight.
That last play I thought was going to be marvelous. It looks like it's not going to happen. We're too tight to 350, the time 350, and it's losing. It's not holding the breakout level. You can kind of see it's already curling in there. With 3 minutes to go till imbalances, still not a heck of a lot. Fubo's there for 1 million shares, which is not nothing. I was asked in the chat what I thought about Holo. So Holo's one of 2 stocks that got a bounce specifically because of DeepSeek. So these guys said they were using their platform. I mean, it is, I can't hide what already happened to the stock. It is what it is. I thought it was a short this morning when it broke down. And I would venture to say until it holds maybe one of these bottoms for a day or two, maybe a bit of a stay away. Stocks like this tend to every now and then get like a second rally. Like, you'll get the first one, and then at some point it'll do like another little jaunt in there somewhere. So like, that's probably what you're looking for. There's your spike reject. You're just looking for another maybe more subtle bounce in the next couple of days. So hold the 150 level. Maybe by Wednesday you can get like a little quick scalp trade into 190, but not for me right away. It was kind of one of those look for the short when it broke down and didn't catch it until really, really late. I think 240, 250 would have been the better short. I wasn't short till 205. I think you got to wait for 150 to start holding. So 2.5 minutes to go. It's not huge by way of earnings, but there is one that we keep saying is better than U.S. Steel that reports tonight.
Is this Nucor report?
I thought they did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a stock that I like. I actually did a piece. What is
I haven't looked at the chart in a little bit for.
We did it. All right. I just wanted to show you. It's not the greatest.
Well, oh no, they're in the morning. That's the issue.
Okay, you guys can see this. Okay, good. I was going to say, it's not showing up great on my screen, but I see that it is on everybody else's. So,
your screen.
Yeah, I don't know, because look how clean it looks on there. It looks so much better on this board, right? Okay, so yeah, it does. You know, pretty light tonight, right? We've got Rumble there, Getty Images. You know, tomorrow we started off with Home Depot coming through. Wait a minute. This is the wrong thing. No, this is not the right calendar. So there you go.
Well, they are aftermarket then.
Who?
Nucor.
Nucor, yeah, that was the wrong calendar. I'm actually, whatever you sent me there, Dara, I'm unable to access
but that's not till 4:30 actually. Okay.
You must have an earnings calendar. I don't have the paid thing on Earnings Whisper, so whenever I click on it, it doesn't show anything. So if you could send me that picture, Dara, that'd be good, and we can get that. I know.
The chart still looks bad.
Dara, when I open up the link, Dara, this is literally what it says here. So close, and I don't have the access to this. So okay. Anyways, we'll get the earnings calendar for you as well. But I like to use Earnings Whisper. Gives you sort of a nice little visual of what's coming through. We also do have, of course, Market Chameleon. This can show you. They both show you the same. So depending on what you like, here's today. You look for aftermarket, Brown and Brown. There's your Nucor, Neil, that you mentioned. Expected to move 5.6%. That's coming in today as well. And after that, you know, a little dry on earnings, especially when you look at later on in the week and what we're going to wind up having there. Boeing coming, SAP, Starbucks comes tomorrow, aftermarket as well. That should be good. We get GM tomorrow morning. We get Royal Caribbean tomorrow morning. Lots of stuff happening. This shows Nucor before market open on the 28th. The other one showed it tonight. So same page, two different results.
Well, that's so weird because
right there. So
I'm pretty sure Nucor usually reports in the morning. I think that's what's weird about it. So it's not till 4:30 anyways. Look, if it comes out, we will have it for you. That's how we roll around here.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, we'll show you it moving. Adara is going to be all over it. Imbalances just came out, so we quickly flip over. Nvidia's $3 million to the sell side. Apple $3 million to the sell side. Intel $2.5 million to the sell side, but that's not very big because it's a $20 stock. You also have Cisco, $1.2 million to the buy side. So the big ones are going to be Apple and Nvidia, 3.2 and 2.7 million. But note the paired volume on Nvidia is 32 million shares. The paired volume on Apple is 8 million shares. That is distinctly different, everybody. So yes, that is gigantic. From a notional, 3 million is still a decent notional value, but it's a small fraction of the paired volume, and NVIDIA's done 700 million shares today. So in terms of significance, that's why NVIDIA basically didn't even move off of that, and Apple actually moved to the downside. So when you consider the size of the imbalance, you should also consider the paired volume and how much volume it's done on the session, which Apple, I don't know, 10% of NVIDIA, something along those lines? Wow. Record day of volume here for NVIDIA, unquestionably.
Oh, and I think if we Google that would be something maybe for Adara.
That's what I was going to do.
Pretty cool graphic, Adara. I think NVIDIA might have turned over the most money today ever.
If it didn't, I'm surprised.
700 million shares on a $120 name? Like, because where's VWAP today? So that should show you the average price roughly, 121.50. You go 121.50 times 700 million shares, and we have a few million on the imbalance. So like,
a few million, 30.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna eat it up right there, 32 million. So you're gonna be well into 750 there, maybe by the time the close happens. Let alone if you choose after hours as well. But yeah, wow.
That might be the biggest
I think
paired
this is a
volume.
capitulation.
I haven't seen paired volume like that on a non-rebalance day, notionally.
If I didn't buy more at lunch, I mean, I might even buy more after hours. I just, that much volume on a day is insane for NVIDIA. So actually, I can add it on here. So this is pretty easy how to do it on our system. You go here, you go create, and I just go to V, volume weight average price. Nope, there's volume right there. I push apply, and I push apply again. And you could see right here, I guess we don't really have, so that's 400, that's showing, I don't know if this is gonna be accurate exactly, 438, so we're gonna get that updated, but you're gonna be into the 500, 600, so you're gonna be all the way up here by the time this volume kicks out. So let me zoom in a little bit to make that look a little bit better for you all, because we do have that. So there, actually doesn't have today's volume yet, I guess. So we'll wait to see when that volume comes in, but this high, that last volume right there is 400 million. So yeah, this is gonna be 700 million shares. Could be a nice little whoosh day for NVIDIA, needless to say. I'm buying the dip. All right, Roblox coming in again here today. I got a notice this morning, and I was actually going to say this. Oh, your Roblox account has been refunded. So $13.99 out of my account. Thank you to PayPal for funding that as well. Into Roblox.
You use PayPal still?
I use PayPal for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about PayPal. We got some cash in PayPal, guys. Nice move upside there, up to $68. PayPal is just like the fun money, so.
Well, it's just I've stopped using PayPal for just about everything.
Yeah. No, I have some side businesses, you know what I mean? So nice move up there into $68. So I really like Roblox. Huge move, sort of one of those plays that we've had still from the summertime. Good move. But you know what I wanted to say? So I'm missing my wedding ring. Okay, hold on a second here.
Huh?
No. Sorry,
You lost your wedding ring?
No, missing. It's so last night there, I'm making wings, and the kids wanted them with flour and all that stuff. So here I am. So whenever I do that or make ground beef and we make burgers, I take the ring off. So, anyways, and I'm driving to work and I'm trying to play with my ring, and it's like, oh my God, I don't have it on. And I phone Marissa, and I think, so we may or may not be together, but she's messaged me and everything is all good. Wow, that Nucor is really falling out here right now to the bottom of it.
That was fast.
Oh, Adara has news on Nucor.
If they dropped it.
Maybe they're not reporting. Let's go to Adara quickly.
So there is no news on Nucor, but I did want to clarify. I actually looked here, and Market Chameleon and Earnings Whisper both say they're reporting tonight. after the bell. They're expected to come out at 4:30 p.m. about a 5.6% implied move, though it actually moved less than 1% last earnings. The other thing, though, I really wanted to talk about was we have some more comments coming through on this Nvidia situation here with regards to Nvidia and DeepSeek. I'm going to see if this chart will load. But basically here, the situation with Nvidia and DeepSeek is that, of course, we had a couple hours ago, Nvidia spokespeople commenting that they think that DeepSeek is, quote, an excellent AI advancement. CNBC is just circulating these reports now, so if you're seeing this just come on your blotter, it's actually from at least 2 hours ago. Now, the other thing, though, that I think is really key is Perplexity CEO Arvind, basically the CEO here of Perplexity, saying that the company is going to be buying more capacity to keep serving DeepSeek R1, but also saying that people who are shorting Nvidia are, quote, short-sighted. So basically, a couple examples here potentially we're seeing from Perplexity and Nvidia itself of ways that DeepSeek can be seen as monumental and game-changing, while also Nvidia as a company not necessarily going to be affected here. So that's really interesting stuff coming from AI professionals themselves, guys.
Thank you very much, Adair. This wasn't here before, but IBIT's now 2.4 million to the buy side.
Oh boy,
IBIT.
Oh no.
That's the first. Nvidia's still 2.4 million to sell, but remember that's with 41 million paired volume. 41 million paired volume. So it's not really moving the needle that much. Apple paired off to 1 million to sell from 3 million. But look at IBIT. And again, I can't remember the last time I saw an imbalance on IBIT. It's probably never is the answer. So maybe watch for 358. I want to make sure I have this one up because I want to see what the print does. I'm going to get up to the desk in a minute or two for the aftermarket show. But this is one, you don't usually see ETFs that pop off like this on imbalances. It's the first time I've ever seen one. And Apple, yikes. There's the reason why we show those imbalances live. Apple actually dropped 1.5% on that imbalance right into VWAP. So you look at Nvidia because Nvidia is Nvidia, and then Apple's the one that made the bigger move, as we were mentioning, on that imbalance. Sam, Sean, or Neil, before we go to the desk here, have either one of you seen that infomercial? I don't know which infomercial you're discussing.
Oh, that one? Yeah, I've seen that one.
Which one?
I have no idea.
I mean, let me know which infomercial you're talking about. I mean, I've seen some infomercials.
Oh, that one?
I don't know. But I was going to say this before I left the desk. You can actually get rings that are like, they had spinners on them. Like, you know, it's literally a fidget one, like with a cutout that you can spin the thing as you're messing around with it, which, I don't know. Like, I do this as well, but obviously it doesn't move. So sorry, I didn't catch that, Ramin. You'll have to
I don't know.
Yeah, that imbalance on IBIT, I've never seen it before, but it must have popped up late. It wasn't there at 350.
Yeah, I'm not even understanding what's going on. I'm not even listening.
I don't know what.
I'm already perplexed by this IBIT trade. Like, we liked 56. This is where, who just hit that? Fabian, look at this. Look at this trade, man. We wrote down 56 long. We bought 56. We got out 56.80. Everything was good until it wasn't. Crypto upside. All right, only 2 minutes left. I want to thank everybody for watching, man. It has been a hell of a face slapper, a dollar maker, a Lambo driver, a Hydration Nation drinker, a flosser. It's been a chronic kind of day. It's been another one. We've been riding bulls. We've been riding bears. We've been ringing registers. We had lunch, which is pretty good.
It was pretty good. And big shout out to Nimrod for the gifted memberships as well. It's been that kind of a day. We appreciate you, Nimrod. Valuable everyone.
Get the hell out of here.
Everyone in the community is fantastic. So get those memberships while you can. Let's get on up to the desk. We got Nucor after the bell.
All right. That should be good. Guys, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, Neil's got this banger of a show ready to go. Make sure you join us on Wednesday for sure, where we set all the damn records, when we have lots of earnings coming through. We have big earnings tomorrow. I like Starbucks earnings. IBIT just continues to go upside. It's okay, guys. We traded thousands of shares today, including those of Nvidia was a good day today. IBIT a good day. TQQ's Tesla. We'll go 5-1 today. The only red mark on our day is Apple, and it's about a couple matcha lattes in. So that was that. Oh, you know, I took, and my wife has a picture, it has other kids in it, but I drove 3 kids home from Newmarket this weekend, Joe. Mistake. Okay, because you know why? The game, Ramin would know all about this. So these are my daughter's 10 years old. So what do you think happens when I'm in a car with my wife and 3 other 10-year-old girls and they just had a hockey game and they're hungry? Starbucks. No, my friend, Starbucks. So I was like, hey, use that PayPal money, reload those Starbucks accounts, get those points. So that was a nice, fun day. Oh, here we go. Countdown. All right, with only a couple seconds left. There's less than 10 left now, that is for sure. Hey, Adara, what's going on? Only 2 and 1. Ring the bell because your boy is late. Yeah, no, there wasn't. They're more into Gracie Abrams, and there's some song called Messy now with Lola. Yeah. So they're all about that. They're all about maps. Yes, maps. Just a little, something like that. There's some moves happening there. All right, Tesla near $400. This is going to be. I mean, if you're not entertained yet, are you not entertained? I mean, honestly, this guy just took the podium a couple weeks ago, right, with Trump. This guy's been running it. I feel that, the stock market president is now in the building. We have DeepSeek, and the more you know about Chinese GPT and stuff like that, the better you will be. So hopefully, in my opinion, get out of the way, Powell, get out of there. Right now, Jensen getting dunked on there by Powell. We need to have that with Powell and Trump, kind of battling each other back and forth. All right, look, it's 4:01. You've obviously had way too much of me today, so that's great. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks, Bears vs. Bulls. Brendo, Joe, Sharif, Ramin, Fabian, Adara, Neil, probably Andre, Tomas, our Hungarian friend, everybody that is here. Randy, thank you so much as well. And most importantly, thank you to all of our viewers today. We had one today, but guess what's happening tomorrow?
Another one.
Back over to the market recap show with Neil and Adara. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Sean. And you could have Trump be Jokic, and then you can definitely have Powell be Sabonis or someone much of a lesser player in there. Although, really, maybe you make it Barron. He's dunking on people, though. He's like 6'8", 6'9". What a day for the market, Adara.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're in the green, the market's in the red, but if you looked at what happened off of the open, it was wild and crazy pandemonium because of the gap down. DeepSeek is all anybody wanted to talk about over the weekend and how it was going to take over and change the landscape when it came to AI, when it comes to how much you need to spend, and that threw a lot of cold water. I don't care whether you're looking at Nvidia, you could be looking at ASML was gapped down. This stock recovered. ASML recovered $40 off the bottom to be down 6%. Marvell was almost 20% to the downside, but it all really starts and ends with the biggest and the baddest here, Nvidia, Adara.
Yeah.
And that really dragged things down. As much as we were able to bounce in the market, Nvidia closes 16.5% down on record volume.
That is chaotic.
Obviously, it's going to be record volume today, and a just massive drip overall. You're just not going to see many days like this. Off the open, it's hard to believe, but off the open, it was like a free money long off of support, and then just an absolute bloodbath for most of the day. Hey, you know what? It ain't all bad, because as we mentioned a lot of times, many times throughout the day, Apple got and held green today, up 3% and looking very strong against their AI. The fact that they weren't spending tons on NVIDIA chips is going to end up boding well for them. At least that's what the market tends to think. And then let's not sleep on what Meta was able to do. 2%. 2% seems like 1,000,000% today, especially when you're able to close pretty much on those highs. But more importantly for Meta, it is worth pointing out, how many tech stocks do you think were able to close at a 52-week high today? I don't know the answer. Maybe you can ask DeepSeek that. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say Meta stands as very, very, very unique here today. Love some Meta. Really, you should have just maybe bought some more. It is what it is. You can always say that, but that August low was great for Meta, and another fresh all-time high despite everything we see to the downside today.
Yeah, that Meta 650 was pretty interesting too. We held that as support, dropped below, then came right back, bounced off the 644 area, and it was all she wrote. I mean, we closed near 660, so great look here for META. And as you said, Apple as well. The one time that actually being behind an AI probably helped it out. So great look there for Apple. There was another one. I haven't seen Intel in a while, but I know Intel initially was faring a little bit better. Okay, no, never mind. It just sold off. Then some of its chip peers, again, because it's not super associated with AI. Qualcomm, another one that was kind of strong earlier in the day. Qualcomm, this is not a bad look for Qualcomm at all. It has this double bottom here of that 168 level closing around 171. It's a bit of a range, but certainly faring a lot better than many of the chip names of its ilk actually did today. So again, the one day that not being super AI associated or AI native was actually a really good day for a lot of tech stocks.
And everyone was focused on the chips, rightfully so. From a trading standpoint, I'm not going to argue with you. If you're not looking at Nvidia or looking at the chip names today, you're probably not an active trader who likes big cap tech. But there was more bleed because ultimately the logic behind this is, hey, if you don't need to spend as much for these AI models, well, what's been something that's been running with the hyperscalers? It's been all these alternative energy plays, which has been some of the nuclear name. And they got absolutely shellacked. And it's not just URA down 11%. URA down 11%. They are not alone. You had names like SMR. I own SMR, down 26.5%. SMR. Then you're going to have GEV, G Verona, down 21%. You're going to have Vistra Corp as well, down 28%.
That's chaotic.
CEG, Constellation, this has been another high flyer. That was down 20 points today. This group, now when you think about it, it makes some logical sense, but that group pulling back even further than Nvidia did because they were catching those catching those late headwinds that you can't power this build out, which is expected to be very, very costly. You need more power to do it. And if it can be done more efficiently, then who needs these new alternative energy sources? So there might be some opportunities coming in and some names that were doing very, very well, not just the chip names. The story here for sure. And I look back at some of those and it's like, oh my goodness, this morning when we looked at some of these individual names, it did feel like, oh yeah, they're doing a little bit of a bounce. Let's see what happens at the open. Well, it was pretty clear the shelf that these fell off. There's the bounce. I'm looking at Constellation in a general sense. And again, if you had a good day today, like whatever, like Apple was great, Nvidia was good, Constellation, look at this one. I only bring it up because of what happened at 9:30. There's a 295 seller that you can see for about a half an hour on this name. It wicked that level twice at the open, trying to break it out, abjectly failing, and then look at the lower highs and then trend down. And then it just held trend for the rest of the day. That's the thing about today. There were so many trading opportunities out there for you.
Yeah.
You just had to identify what you liked and which way you wanted to have it. And that was pretty much it. If you liked long in Apple because you think they got a moat, you like long in Meta because you think they got a moat, then you're doing absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, you just had to grip it. You grip it and rip it, pick a couple of names. I feel like I looked at fewer names at the open than usual. I didn't even check out a crypto name. I didn't even notice Mara was down 10% till the end of the day.
MSTR bounce was crazy.
Despite looking at it. And I know you look at MSTR.
Yes.
That bounce was insane. Did you trade any MSTR
Oh, actually,
today?
I had that 329.80 move all the way up to 340. I decided the reason I didn't hold any longer was basically just because I was like, you know what? Near the end of the day, I'm still getting more comfortable holding things through the imbalances. I believe my order got filled at 340.21s. You guys can guess why I chose 21s. Basically, I think right around 345, just before 350. And yeah, I mean, it was really just because there was a little bit of resistance just below that 341 level. And with spready tickers, I like to get out at least 25, 30 pennies before the level I like, because I know that it can be a little bit dicey in terms of spread. You might not get your fill. Right. Yeah, I was really happy with that trade. Did not have the size that I should have had on that. That's one thing I'm also working on. But yeah, flat on the day. It was a little bit too excited with some meta sizing, but that's how you learn and grow every day. And MSTR, definitely when I'm watching tomorrow, especially after that push into the close, that's for sure.
I mean, that is a V-shaped recovery if you've ever seen one. And you saw with Sean what IBIT did at the end of the day. With that imbalance, by the way, 2.5 million share IBIT imbalance. You don't usually see that, at least not specifically. I've seen ETS before, but it's the first time I've seen a couple of million shares on IBIT. So the relief rally was real. MicroStrategy just bought another chunk of Bitcoin north of 100K. So obviously that wasn't doing too well, but it did close a little bit better for them. Obviously, we lost 100,000 this morning, but this is the V shape that we're talking about in MSTR. And when some of these start trending, all you want to do is sort of jump on the train. Like this is what IBIT did, more of a, I don't know what you call it, like a U-shaped than a V-shape that you see in MSTR. But that's the value, to your point, Adair, of trading MSTR. Is wild, depending on your style, man. Like maybe you like the steady stock like IBIT, where you can get it in good and maybe bigger and hold it a little bit longer, or MSTR, where it's just that spread where you like to take that trade and get a bigger notional win, or like a gross win in terms of how many dollars it goes. But maybe you can get a similar percentage move for more shares than IBIT. You just got to be able to pick your poison.
It depends on your style. And it depends on what you're comfortable with too. Like I'm not really comfortable with that type of trade, but with something like MSTR, when I'm seeing the spread work in a certain way, like basically what it does, I just kind of had the order there, I had my stop, and there was a while where we were not breaking 330, and I basically was like, cool, on to the next one, whatever, it's fine, and this is not my focus. And then I recorded my eye, we're like 331, 332, and once we started to have that push, I knew that once we got past that 336, which was A, prior resistance, and B, VWAP, I was like, I'm just gonna hands off this and see what happens. I did take some profit right before 336, I figured that would be an issue. Once we took that 336, even when we broke back below it, we were able to stay relatively strong. And again, did I take the entirety of the move? No, I didn't get that through 50s, but I'm happy I stayed as long as I did, because again, the Adira of like probably a month ago, 2 weeks ago would have gotten out that. So it's like small incremental pieces of growth I think are important with whatever you type of trade. Like if it's IBIT, maybe you took a little bit more size, and that's growth, right? Something like MSTR, you stay in a little bit longer, and that's whatever makes sense for you, for your style, for your risk management is, I think, totally commendable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of the thing. Like, you should never, look, you can always say you would hold longer, but I mean, ultimately, just to quickly show you what Adair is talking about, like, this is your stair step to the upside. You take what ultimately is like first, second, like the third step up. You can't necessarily know what's going to break out in that realm. But if you're going to get 1.5 points late in the day, you got to take it. So that's obviously going to be a great look. I just wanted to very quickly, I know we're going to have Michael Noss coming in here in just a little bit. I wanted to go over a couple of things that did pretty well today. But, I mean, the financials, nothing wrong with 1% up into a down market. XLF right back into some of those highs. Another interesting, consumer staples up 3%. You're going to see strength in XLP today as well. And then healthcare, XLV, 2.25. This one gets interesting because you're right at a major resistance level, 148, and you're trying to gain back that 200 moving average there on the Spider Healthcare. So that's a big one. And there's lots of strength that did occur in the market today. That's why people sometimes talk about diversification. You always want to look at days like today and make sure you're sussing out, hey, what was strong, what was weak, not just within sectors, but in a general sense in the market. I love the fact that the financials are holding up for obvious reasons, but everything, I keep saying this, and I'll probably even ask Michael Noss's thoughts about this at the open in a quick little second, because it was a unique type of open. We don't see this very often. Nvidia, it's weird, but Nvidia was my best stock today with essentially what amounted to one long trade, and it's on a day that it's down 16%.
Really? That's wild.
And it just goes to show that how unique of a day that it was. Because it was, you're not down 10% in short sell restricted with the uptick rule in effect on Nvidia very often. As a matter of fact, I can't think of a single time that was true, except for today. But it gave you that go into prior support right at the open, wick to support level, do relief rally. It went from literally A to B in a heartbeat, and then you're just out of it. Obviously, it could have been a short after that. I liked AMD short a little bit better. I think that was a little bit of a distinction without a difference at first, but then you can see AMD caught a bit at the end of the day when Nvidia was not able to. And Joseph Birch Music, you got that bounce on Nvidia too, so congratulations to you. James in the chat also saying was mentioning FedEx and UPS. There's some strong names on the day. This is what we're talking about. This is what you want to be able to see. If this move continues and we get a little bit more bleed in the market than you were anticipating, hey, what was strong today? If you only like going long, maybe those are the names that you should have on your radar that might not be there under normal circumstances. That's the kind of work that you want to make sure you're putting in after special events like we saw today. And speaking of special events, it's always a special event when we have a guest for you on the Market Recap Show. And one of our favorites, if we are ready, is our good friend, the old NOS boss. Let's get some trader talk. I don't know why I said the old NOS boss, like I'm not like infinitely older than you, Michael. But
there's a lot of gray in the beard. It's
oh,
I'll take it.
Great. We got the gray on right now, but wow, what an unbelievable day. We got Michael NOS from Stats Edge, our resident CMT expert. We appreciate having you on here. Unprecedented day today. In terms of volatility, we've never seen a stock lose as much in notional value that Nvidia did today. There's like a handful of names, Mag 7 plus 2, that are as big as what Nvidia lost in terms of market cap today. So very, very unique day.
Yeah, certainly a wild day. And this is one of those things that's really different to be a day trader versus a swing trader, because I have my chart here, and it's kind of very easy to do a post-mortem on the day. We're in the middle of a range, right? And it's funny, I came talking to you guys a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned that, right, year 3 is generally a range-bound year. So yes, big day, especially, right, if you were looking at the morning, if you were kind of obsessed, this candle includes pre-market action. So we did dip down that low in the pre-market before we recovered. But what I think is more important than even what happened in the day is how everything recovered so nicely, that we basically opened right at the low of the day. I was talking a lot about that this day I think is going to be hugely important, because it's going to show you whether on a gap down like this, are institutions super excited and, they're rubbing their hands excited to buy things, or is this a situation where everyone backs off? And I think we got that very, very excited to buy stocks, just waiting for the moment, and they finally got it today. So I think that was the best kind of action that you could see in a down day like this.
Yeah, and it's not just that they were buying. In some stocks, look, Meta closed at an all-time high today, fresh on a closing basis, all-time high. You saw Apple with lots of strength. It's not just that they were buying these names, Michael. They were buying them before earnings. Right? Yep. So like they were buying them all up, because we don't get Meta and Apple until later on this week. So you always want to see that reaction, but there's a flip side to that coin. Is I think you learned something about the names that did not hold the bid today as well. I can sit here and we can show Bitcoin holding 100,000 and we're still in that range, all still well and good. You can trade inside the range and be comfortable about it. But man, you've got to be careful if something lost the bid today. I was looking at some of the nuclear names, the uranium names, like those things, they really broke down and the buying was not exuberant. So there's a lot of work to be done to, I guess, decompress after a day like today. But I just want, specifically, because we didn't break the range on Bitcoin, I did not look much at anything else other than what we were trading. So the reaction, I'm curious if there was anything that stood out to you with some of the altcoins that you've been watching, with the move that we did have overnight, losing 100,000 in Bitcoin. Was there anything you gleaned from any of those that might have caught your eye?
No, all the altcoins kind of did exactly what you would expect, in lockstep with Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything like that. But a point I want to hit on that you just mentioned, I think is amazing for swing traders and something that they should pay attention to. You kind of mentioned if something that you had today got killed, it's obviously relatively weak. If something you had today was up on the day, it's obviously relatively strong. So I think that is the best thing that you can kind of do with a day like today, right? Is, if you're just tuning in now and you got a swing trading portfolio and you're looking at it, that's what I did a lot of today. Anything that got just completely taken out to the woodshed, that got removed from my portfolio and removed from my scans. Anything that held on super well is something that I'm really interested in. So one sector that I have up here is actually home builders. So we got new home sales today as well. But even before then, home builders were actually doing pretty good on some earnings that came out. So again, today gets to be a pretty easy day. This list I have on the side is just a list of all ETFs based on how they close in the day. And you can see, right, the XHB index was up 1.5% when everything was down. And this is not something that I would generally consider defensive, where people buy home builders if they're worried about the economy falling apart. So this kind of shows me when I see things like this, that this could be that whole great rotation that we've been waiting for a very long time, where maybe some of these AI and chip names are going to come down and people are going to start putting money into other things. So XHB and then KRE, both being strong today and closing higher, these are both very interest rate sensitive sectors. They very much thrive on lower rate environments and then do poorly in higher rate environments. So what I'm seeing for both of these rocketing when AI was selling is that the story may be changing. Maybe we don't really care about AI. Maybe now we're going to focus on interest rates and whether or not the new administration is going to bully the interest rates down the way he's saying. And then if that's the case, then it might not be AI and big tech that's our high flyers. It might be more boring stuff like home builders and KRE. But seeing some really good positive action on a day like today, I think makes you want to take notice a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that in a market where the Nasdaq's down 3%, there's nothing boring about being up 1% for KRE. I'll tell you that much, for sure. And actually at some pretty good levels, as you mentioned, that 50 period on the daily could easily break out, and that's what you want to do. I love the fact that you echoed that sentiment, because it just makes me feel more confident that we're on the right path by sort of finding that relative strength and making sure we add those things to our core board. Michael, we have a question here. I want to throw you to a Derek, because one of our viewers has a question for you here. I want to make sure we give them the opportunity to get an answer.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Michael. As always, we're going to take a moment here to ask this question from Kyle Burdett in the chat here, basically saying, what would it mean if we open tomorrow gapped down below today's open? So it doesn't specify NASDAQ or SPY, but in general for the market. What would it mean if we somehow open even lower than that gap that we had today?
I think what's more important than the gaps, and it's something that's I think really important, especially hit on today too, is that the market was, I think the NASDAQ was down like 5.5 or 6% at some point during the night and then rallied higher. So more than what the gap would do, it's that opening kind of drive and that opening print that becomes really, really important, because today it was obvious that they were buying it off the open. So the reason that this is important is you got to remember that the large institutions, the hedge funds, the guys that actually move the market out there, they don't have the liquidity to be, trading in the after hours when the market's really, really thin, depending on what's happening, and really even in the most active times, too thin for a lot of institutions. So that's why I kind of talked about the opening print today, the fact that they just bought it right off the open and then push from there. The reason that that's so important is that it just shows that when people were getting in the morning, they were meeting with the hedge fund manager, they were saying, oh, good, finally, we've gapped down a little bit, we can buy it, so let's buy it up. So if we gapped down again tomorrow and gap down below tomorrow or today's open, that's a little bit worrisome because of the strong move we had all day. But again, it would, that opening drive, because if we gap down again tomorrow and they just buy it right back up, that's going to make me even more bullish. But if we gap up tomorrow and they start selling it right away, that means that, to me, that was a little bit more of a short-term trade where, the institutions were buying it up just to kind of flip it out a day or two later. So less about the overnight action and then more about kind of what we see right off that open.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer, Michael. I think one of the stocks that exemplifies your point about the buying up at the open, and it matters a little bit more. What do they want to do with this? What do traders want to do with it? What do institutions want to do with it? Like when I look specifically at Meta, like Meta could, even if Meta were to gap down, like they bought it at 6 a.m., it dipped. The day traders were taking profit going into the open. Like this looked like, okay, like this was a very strong trend up, and then a trend reversal that happened like an hour before the market's even open. You're like, okay, well this is like there's a trend reversal. You could easily retest the lows because everyone's all doom and gloom in the market, but you can just see like right as the market opened, they were wasting absolutely no time. And that's buying a tech stock at the highs. I mean, if the institutions wanted to buy this thing at the highs, what is that even telling us here? But I want to get your thoughts on this. We just talked about if you were to gap lower, what it would mean for the overall market. Now I'm looking at, because I think there might be a different answer for something like this, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Like I'm looking at uranium, and what this was where the bleed that there was no bid on happened. Gapping underneath this support, I'm thinking tomorrow. I mean, if we gap underneath that support, how are you not short the uranium names again for continuation? They didn't catch a bid. The market didn't want to buy those ones back up. Like if that support gets lost and they already didn't want to buy it today, I mean, I know not everybody can short equities here, but I mean, that group looks very, very suspect. Instead of hoping that the Qs don't get bought up, I mean, heck, they didn't want any part of these uranium and nuclear energy or alternative energy names or utility names adjacent to the space.
Yeah. And again, I think it just highlights the relative strength, relative weakness thing that we've been talking about is that what you want to do and what I'm going to be spending most of the night doing is look at things that closed higher and just go through the whole list. Could be just as simple as getting a list from the S&P 500, putting that into Excel or whatever scanning program you have and just sorting by the ones that were up on the day. I think there's a whole bunch of information there. And conversely, just like you talked about with uranium, that's insanely relative weak. We talked about how the market closed or opened right up and they bought it right away. Uranium, like you mentioned, it's completely opposite. The high of the day is like the high tick of the day, and then they sold it all day long. So again, what I love about being a swing trader and what I love about being a price action guy is that this data gave me everything that I need in order to build a plan going forward. If you were getting absolutely killed today, regardless of what it was. So we had semiconductors or SMH down 10%. We had URA down 10%. XSD, which is another semiconductor ETF, that was down 8.5%. So these guys are they're dead to me right now. I'm not interested in buying dips on things that not only gap down, but then sold off all day. I'm interested in potentially buying pullbacks or buying breakouts on the names that did well. So like, the KRE and the home builders, those things are going to stand out to me. It becomes a very easy play to make. And to be honest, if we are going to get this rotation, I'm super excited about it. Now, it's going to suck for people who just buy big cap tech and they just trade big cap tech and that's all they do, because we might have a period of a downtrend or nothing going on. But for those of us who can stick and move and don't mind, being in home builders one day and uranium and next day and moving around, I think we're going to get a lot of opportunity, just the way I saw the rotation kind of happen intraday.
Yeah, that's perfect thoughts. And I love the boxing reference. You got to be able to stick and move when you're a trader, regardless of your time frame. You want to be able to be where the action is. Before we get you out of here, Michael, we talk about big events, earnings, days like today, the Fed. For a swing trade, do you have any kind of sometimes we talk about the 3-day rule, grace period under which, hey, I'm looking for opportunities, but when we have this extreme of a move, I'm not going to enter until X amount of time after, like it could be 2 or 3 days, let the market settle down. Is there anything like that that is having you maybe sit back and assess a little bit longer than before? Or is it going to, as always, be purely technical for you in the coming days?
It's purely technical on this one. Something like earnings, generally, I won't want to get involved before earnings. Generally, after earnings, you have a big gap, so you need some basing or something to occur there. But on a day like today, I bought a bunch of stuff. Now, what I didn't do it off the open, right? I did it about midday. Yeah. So it's more about that, because my thesis going in today was if we buy it off the open, then I want to be involved in that, and then if we reverse over the next few days, then I'll take a small hit. If we go back to highs, just like we did last time, we did this kind of gap down and then rallied all day. That was like a 7% move in the SPY. So that was a great trading opportunity for me. And with some of the systems, even the ones that I brought this morning on the pullback trades, a lot of those things fired off on the open. So I spent a lot of my morning watching them, and then in the afternoon picking up a whole shopping list, because these are the moments that I want to look for. Now, if this was a giant event, like you're talking, terrorism or war or something really kind of horrible for the market, then that's different. Then, let me sit out. I wouldn't buy Boeing the day after the doors are flying off airplanes and stuff like that. So I definitely do hiatus if the news is bad enough. For me, to be honest, I played with the DeepSeek thing. I did the whole thing. I talked about it with Brendan this morning. This just seemed like the market was a little bit overbought and just wanted an excuse to sell off. It's what it felt to me anyway.
It certainly did. And I have a name for your trade today on the home builders and some of the others. We'll call it if it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go. trade.
Ooh, I like that.
Brought to you
Good.
by Michael Noss.
I like
Which is, I don't know. I heard it, candidly, I heard a trader actually say that term for a specific setup at the open. And it's always sort of stuck with me, but I think that's the perfect example. Like, you didn't need to be buying it at 9:30, which for some day traders, that's exactly what you wanted to do if you're looking bounce. There's more than one way to get a winning trade or skin a cat, as some people like to say. Don't skin cats, it's bad. But Michael, thank you so much. Because I'll tell you right now, you wouldn't have seen us talk about the home builders and the opportunities that you might be able to see with that relative strength. So it's always great to get your perspective. And we're day trading, and I love that we have a technical swing trader out here to drop that knowledge. And thank you so much for answering our viewers' questions as well. As always, it's a pleasure having you. Can't wait to see you in the flesh end of the week here. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to have Michael here in studio. So really looking forward to having you. Best of luck for the rest of the week, and certainly safe travels when you come to Toronto.
I will. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm pumped to be down there on Friday.
We'll see you then. Thank you so much. Mr. Noss, Michael Noss, our good friend.
Thank you very much.
Dropping knowledge, chilling out casually
just got
with the beard
Nucor
game.
earnings,
There we
so-
go. Let's get to the Nucor earnings right away.
Yep, so we have full fourth quarter here earnings, diluted earnings of $1.22 per share. And then for the fiscal year, it was $8.46 per share. For net sales here, $7.08 billion for the quarter. That both the EPS and the sales numbers are above the estimates I'm seeing, but it's always worth noting sometimes you see different stuff. Sometimes they use different analyst estimates than the ones I'm necessarily seeing, so I'll have to wait here. Right now, it's just kind of languishing the bottom of this range here in terms of price action. Let me see if there's any other numbers I can see here really quickly on this report. I mean, yeah, so it looks like we're up
Well, they like it.
on a year-over-year basis for some of these metrics. I mean, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what kind of bounce we get. I'm still using the I'm not sure if we get post-market data here on the charts here for e-signal. I'll have to figure that out. But
Well, I
regardless,
can-
from what I can tell, it looks like they beat on EPS and on revenue.
Well, they like it. They really like it. Up 5% is Nucor. Now, remember, the expected move here was 5.5%. And you've more or less gotten close to that right up at the top here. It's been bleeding a little bit, and steel names haven't been all that good, and the chart doesn't look fantastic. But just before we get into our roll call, end it off for you, there's a little bit of a consolidation breakout potentially. If it can hold on to above 128, maybe catch that 50-period moving average breakout. So Nucor, pretty good way to end things off here today. It was a kind of day that was great for trading. But some names did bleed and didn't catch a bid. You look at some of those semi-names, it was definitely one for the downside. But you know how we end things off around here, everybody. If it's your first time and you don't know what the roll call is, that's when every one of our viewers has a chance to hear their name read out loud in live rapid fashion by Adara as we see who is in our community and traders stay late and who is joining us. Before I do that, I always tell people, you want to get your name in the chat read, then you got to be in the chat in the first place. And you got to hit the subscribe button to be in the chat. It's a subs-only chat. And I want to give a big shout out to Fabian and Ramin on the ones and twos all day long, making us sound really good. The Midday Boys, the Bash Brothers, of course. We got Joe, we got Sharif. Give them a big thank you as well. Give Adara and Brando a big thank you. Being on the news desk all day long, keeping you informed. And give a big shout out to my man Sean Katina for the awesome trade today, my partner out there. And always a fun time trading with him. So can't do anything until we also acknowledge the best moderator in the business. Thank you, Bears versus Bulls, for everything that you do. We couldn't be the channel that we are without you. Thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to give my thanks here in the chat, and I'll give it to Adara for the roll call.
Thank you so much, Bears versus Bulls, for being here. Thank you to Ramin, Fabian, Andre, Neil, Sean, Brendan, Joe, Sharif, everyone you see, everyone you don't see. Let's get it going here. Also, here are the Nucor numbers. As you can see, they significantly beat estimates. $1.22 per share EPS versus 65 cents expected. Sales, $7.076 billion versus $6.763 billion. Either way, massive beats across the board. We have Daniel, we have Celery 2 for Profit, Slouch, Reka, Chandler. We've got Midnight in the Oceans, FX Options, the Wiffle Waffler, UCG, Gabriel Matthews, Bright Awakenings, Martians, Grov. We got Okur. We have Adam Khalifa. We have Vusumu, Eco Steve, Relojes, Donkey Trader, William James. We have Chancellor Palms, Nakul, Pitchbull, Damo, Marie. I think I saw the Piper. I saw in there for sure. Rubicon I saw, and I believe I saw Daryl Flint earlier as well. Bilbo Bag Holder. I love to stop with that one. So thank you so much to everybody for being here today. You know what? gonna be a whole new chaotic day for the market. We shall see you then. Make sure to get caffeinated because A, it will be a crazy day, and B, Starbucks reports after the close tomorrow.
That's right, Starbucks tomorrow. It's going to be a big week of earnings. Obviously, it was a fun one today, but the best part about it is we get to do it all again tomorrow. So make sure you get some rest. Wake up bright and early because at 8:30, we're back at it. Another wild day in the markets due Tuesday. We'll see you in the morning. We're Trader TV Live. See ya.